hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Justice Clarence, I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Dennis Sperling. I want you guys to make sure you hit the like button as you come in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you have not already, I would like to formally welcome you all to the broadcast. All my old school heads, all my new school heads. Big shout out to everybody who is in here with me. I want to continue the conversation discussing birthright citizenship. And after a thorough review of the Supreme Court brief, the Barber case, or Trump v. Barber v. Trump, I want to kind of continue because there are a lot of angry Americans right now. Angry. I'm not even talking about the type of angry you have after you decided to skip breakfast and then you look up and it is now 3:58 p.m. and you haven't eaten lunch, and all that's left is that cold cup of coffee and some grapes, and not even the good grapes. You know, the little end butt grape that you pick around, those are the only grapes left. You have nothing to eat. Okay? I'm talking about even more angry than that. All right? Somebody type past hangry in the chat room. This is where we are. Americans are angry. Okay? They're angry enough to eat the cats and dogs. Somebody say they're eating the cats and dogs. Okay? That's how angry Americans are. Angry enough to eat the cats and dogs. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, okay, because you need to hear it. All right? Now, the media is portraying the Supreme Court's decision to allow Trump's administration to end temporary protective status for hundreds of thousands of Haitians and thousands of Syrians as some kind of humanitarian crisis. And the discussion immediately turned to how these communities are going to suffer if the migrants have to leave the United States. But as I listened to the interview, I noticed something, and something you all would probably notice. They kept talking about nursing homes. Somebody type old folks in the chat room. Somebody type bedpans in the chat room. Okay? Somebody type old folks and bedpan in the chat room. All right? That's what they were talking about in regards to the Haitians. Okay? And these migrants or immigrants. They kept talking about staffing shortages. They kept talking about businesses. They kept talking about restaurants. Okay? Talk about mud pies. Okay? That's what they were talking about. They kept talking about who's going to take these jobs if we get rid of our Haitians. Okay? If the Haitians are forced to leave, who's going to do these jobs? Now, I want you to think about that. They weren't spending most of their time talking about Haitian culture. They weren't talking about the dignity of the Haitian people. They weren't talking about the dreams and aspirations of these folk. The overwhelming focus was on the economic impact of losing their cheap source of labor. In other words, and this is my takeaway from listening to the conversations, mostly of the blue-minded, I would say liberal-minded media. I'm not picking sides. I'm just saying, okay? But it sounds to me, it sounds less like they're grieving the loss of people who they've come to love and respect, and more like they're grieving the loss of their labor force. They openly discussed the fact that nursing homes rely on Haitian workers. They talked about employers who can't fill positions, chopping up chickens and sweeping up floors, without them. Okay, they talked about communities depending on them to perform the work that many Americans either don't want to do or would demand significantly higher wages to do. Okay, we'll clean bedpans for the right amount of money, won't we? Right, just like cleaning a diaper. Right, get a baby diaper, same thing. Old people diapers. You'll do it. I gave you $50 an hour, you clean that bedpan, and it'd be lickety split clean. So when I step back and I look at this subjectively, I can't help but ask, is this really about compassion for Haitians and immigrants, or is it about preserving access to large pools of relatively inexpensive labor? Somebody say, in the chat room, because that's what I heard. I heard concerns about who's going to change dirty old people diapers. I heard about nursing homes. I heard about who's going to cook our food and clean our houses. I heard concerns about who's going to fill difficult, low-paying jobs. And I heard concerns about staffing shortages and economic consequences of this workforce disappearing. And if this is where I think people, well, let me say, I think people need to stop confusing compassion with dependency. Okay. What I heard wasn't a conversation about protecting Haitian families and humanitarian style stuff. What I heard was anxiety over losing a workforce that performs all this menial tasks that many folks don't want to do and would never accept. And in my opinion, that's not compassion, that's economics. That's not unconditional love. That's not even respect. That's reliance on inexpensive, cheap labor. And this is why I often say that what people call liberal compassion, okay, it deserves a closer look. I mean, we need to give it a good eyeballing, okay, because it sounds compassionate, sounds empathetic, sounds like they're standing up for vulnerable people. But if you really listen to the conversation, the emphasis isn't on the individual, it's on the individual's what the individual produces. It's on the labor, it's on who's going to keep the nursing home staffed, who's going to fill these difficult jobs, and who's going to keep the labor costs down. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay. I don't know. Maybe you find something different, but that's what it sounds like to me. Now, here's the thing. That's a contradiction. Clearly, it's clearly a contradiction. And we need to talk about that. And I think today is a great day to do it. Because, see, the very people who claim to be champions of immigrants spend more time talking about the economic inconvenience of losing them than they do about actual people themselves. Now, they'll throw a story in there about, oh, they're going to go home to a tragic place. They might get kidnapped. I get that. But in my view, overall, that's a form of exploitation wrapped in language of compassion. It isn't loud or obvious. It isn't the kind of prejudice people usually associate with bigotry. It's quieter than that. It's the same thing that liberals did to black people back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and whatever. Okay, it presents itself as empathy, but underneath, it's a discussion about maintaining access to a workforce that keeps certain industries operating at lower costs and thus increase the profit. Now, you can agree or disagree with immigration policy. That's a separate debate. But if we're going to be honest about this conversation, let's at least acknowledge what discussion we're centered on. It's centered overwhelmingly on labor and economic consequences of losing that labor. And to me, that's the real story. And the concern being expressed, you know, is well, let me say it like this. We're gonna they're not saying we're gonna miss our Haitian neighbors. They're saying who's gonna do this work? And how much is it gonna cost to replace them? And that's a very different conversation than the one many people think they're hearing. Okay, now that's on TPS. Somebody type temporary in the chat room. Somebody type T stands for temporary in the chat room. Somebody type T stands for temporary in the chat room. Okay, so that's TPS. Okay, because we got 2 back-to-back rulings related to immigration recently. Now, the other thing is the birthright citizenship. That ruling came down, and you know we can look. What we can expect now from the current administration is pretty simple. If the Supreme Court has locked in birthright citizenship, then the fight shifts from the baby to the pipeline. Okay, somebody type from the baby to the pipeline. All right, and Trump's administration's backup plan isn't to relitigate the same issue tomorrow. It's not to go after the machinery, or really, what we're going to do is we're going to go after the people that make birth tourism possible. And so the DOJ has recently reported, or it's directed its prosecutors to prioritize birth tourism investigations with DHS. And Reuters reported that potential charges may include visa fraud, money laundering, identity theft, aggravated identity theft, and healthcare fraud. And that matters because the government may not be able to deny citizenship to the child after birth, but it can still put your mama in jail. Somebody fight mama's going to jail in the chat room. They can prosecute the adults. They can prosecute the organizers. They can prosecute the facilitators and the travel operators, and document the handlers and the business networks that help foreign nationals lie and cheat and steal their way into our country for the purpose of giving birth. Again, they might not be able to stop you from pushing that baby out, but they certainly can put you in that federal penitentiary when you have it. You and that baby locked up. Somebody type jail baby in the chat room. Somebody type jail baby. Jail baby. Born in a jail. Okay? And so that in itself should act as a deterrent. Now, and this problem is real. This isn't some made up talking point. The Department of Justice has prosecuted baby tourism operators before, including a Chinese national who pled guilty in 2019 to running an Orange County birth tourism business that catered to wealthy pregnant clients, and Chinese government officials charged them tens of thousands of dollars just to help make sure they can give birth to their baby in the United States, so that their children would have U.S. citizenship and all those rights. And so Reuters also reported in April 2026 that ICE launched a new effort to uncover birth tourism schemes focused on the whole network that allegedly helped these pregnant women lie on their visa applications just so they can get U.S. citizenship for their U.S. born babies. Now, the Migration Policy Institute puts the issue very plain. Giving birth in the United States while on a temporary visa isn't in itself illegal, but obtaining a visa solely to secure citizenship for a child amounts to fraud, and it can make the person inadmissible. So what should Americans do? Somebody type, what we gonna do in the chat room? What we gonna do? Well, expect more prosecutions, expect more scrutiny of visa applications, expect more questions at the consulate and ports of entry, expect the government to target maternity hotels and operations and coaching networks and false itinerary schemes and fake medical paperwork and shell payment arrangements and package deals marketed overseas as come to America, have a baby, get the passport. Expect the Department of Justice to treat these cases less like isolated immigration violations and more like organized crime. And that's a real shift. They're going to start treating pregnant women like Pablo back in Medellin or something like that, like the mob. And the Supreme Court may have said that the child is a citizen, but the Department of Justice is saying the route used to create that citizenship is criminal. And the numbers explain why the administration sees this as urgent. Pew Research found that in 2023, unauthorized immigrant mothers and legal temporary immigrant mothers had 320,000 babies in the United States. That's in 2023. They dropped over 300,000 babies. That's 9% of the US population. That's 1 year. Okay? Now, Pew also said that if under Donald Trump's executive order, 260,000 of those babies wouldn't have even qualified as citizens under Trump's executive order if it had went into effect. Why? Because neither the parents were American citizens, or they were here illegally. So think about that. You got 250,000 illegal babies in here. Somebody type illegal baby in the chat room. And babies are illegal. That's an unauthorized baby. That's what they were saying. Now, Axios reported that the federal estimates of birth tourism is uncertain, but they say it's about 20 to 26,000 annual births from tourist visa holders alone. And if someone thinks that number is small compared with total U.S. births, it's still major. It's still a major enforcement issue because each case represents a direct attempt to skirt and convert physical presence into permanent citizenship status. Because once you drop that baby, right, you drop that baby off, and you can turn back around and apply for citizenship, etc. Okay, and that's why this section matters after Trump v. Barber. And the government's only practical option is to fight before the birth, before entry, before fraud, and before people disappear into the interior. They get lost in the sauce. And if the court says the child born here is a citizen, then the administration has to make it a lot harder to get here under these fake and false pretenses. Okay. Now, the next battlefield is not going to be constitutional. It'll be visa fraud, the screening at the consulate, border enforcement, and worksite enforcement, and sanctuary policies, and criminal prosecutions of birth networks. Okay. Now, what did I say earlier? I said temporary means temporary, but a lot of people seem not to understand that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look over a little video footage because I think it's important. And again, a lot of Americans are angry. Somebody type angry in the chat room. Very, very angry. And it's shocking that you have so much anger coming from places that you would least think that would come from, i.e. Black people. I want you all to sit back and I'll do my commentary. And again, if you learn something, I should earn something. But in the meantime, let's just kick back and enjoy these videos, and we're going to make it do what it do. All right? Let's check this out.
Go sit down. We don't need to talk to you. We don't need your help. We don't need your services. 1865, now and forever. Because we're going to cut this out. 14th Amendment will come. It ain't for everybody. You ain't considered. Go home. Go home. Wherever that is, when it ain't here.
Are we talking about
everybody go home.
Yes, we're talking
everybody go home.
Say it again.
Everybody. You know, because you ain't from here. You ain't, and you can't do what I got, paperwork.
She told the reporter to go home. Somebody type go home. Everybody in the chat room type go home 3 times. Go home. And then she said, everybody go home. Everybody go home. Damn. That's anger. Somebody type angry in the chat room. Go ahead.
Don't stay here. Go back where you came from. That includes you too.
All right.
You want to help me? Go home. Wherever that home is, go.
All right.
Now, I want to point out that this is clearly a black woman, and 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris or voted against Donald Trump. So when people say that this is purely a Trump thing, it's not. And let me tell you, I've spoken to enough black people to let you know that most of these immigration policies that are pushed by this current administration are quietly supported by foundational black Americans. Type FBA in the chat room. They are quietly supported. You might be part of the 92%. You might be part of the 79% of black men who voted for Kamala Harris, but a large percent of black people support these anti, as you would call it, xenophobic, whatever, immigration policies being pushed by Donald Trump. And so it's unfair to say that people who support this are Trumpyites or even MAGA. I'm not MAGA, not in the sense that, I'm not a diehard Trump fan. I just didn't like what was going on under Biden. Before that, I voted Democrat my whole life. So it's unfair to even call me a Republican. I'm still registered Democrat. I just didn't like the fact that little girls were getting raped by immigrants. I didn't like that. And any responsible man in America, the fact that if you have women in your life, whether they be your wife, your sister, your daughter, you got these people coming up from the southern border, just walking into the country, and your president is asleep at the helm. There's nothing being done about it. You can't even whatever your political stance may be. When little girls and women are being taken advantage of by men who are just walking up the border, there's clearly something wrong. And so we as men, so that we don't have to get our rifles together, all right, and take things into our own hand, we expect the government to do that so we can focus on raising our families. And anybody who had a problem with that, you're not even, you can't even consider yourself I'm gonna use the word patriotic because we're a couple of days away from the 250-year anniversary. You're not even a patriotic American. You don't care anything about America. You're just straight up voting party lines at that point. Now, again, I don't necessarily know who I'm going to vote for this next upcoming election. I know that I'm going to vote for some Democrats. I know that I'm going to vote for some Republicans. I'm going to vote my interest. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but only a fool, somebody type fool, only a fool will want 2-3 million illegal immigrants coming up through the southern border every year, flooding our country. And that's how most black Americans, we are very common sense oriented people. I can't speak for everybody, because when you're dealing with black immigrants, they see the world through an immigrant gaze. They don't see the world through a foundational black American, heritage American gaze. We don't have anywhere else to go back to. We're not here just to make money and leave. We're here, we've been here, and we're going to be here. Okay? So this is our country. We don't have anywhere else to go, and we don't want it to get flooded with people who take advantage. All right? I just want y'all to keep in mind. Now, again, I will never tell you all who to vote for. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm really here to give you the cold, hard facts. I just simply gave you my rationale. I was willing to put aside my own Democratic bias and vote for Trump because I didn't want to see any more little girls and women getting taken advantage of, and somebody had to do something. And the only reason we're not dealing with it now, is because Donald Trump has the Marines on the border. Somebody type U.S. Marine Corps. That's the only reason. And shout out to Fire for Effect. Thank you for being the first person to contribute to the super chat. Anybody that thinks it would have been a good idea to vote for Kamala Harris, seeing what Joe Biden did, we would have another 8 million immigrants. We would have more grapes, more little women, more little girls and women being taken advantage. I mean, if you voted for Kamala Harris, knowing that she was going to keep the borders open like that, you're an idiot. You're just a straight up idiot. And I don't want to be that strong. And I know people voted for Kamala Harris, but I'm saying you know what? That would not have been a smart idea. Where would we be right now with another 8 million immigrants? Because you know the governor of Texas is going to send them up to Chicago. Where would Chicago be? Where would DC be? Where would New York City be? Is that how you want to live? I'm just pointing it out. This is what I saw that drove me to vote for Donald Trump. Now, again, most people said, nah, I gotta vote blue no matter who. And I respect that. But at this point, you have black women like this woman right here who are angry because now anybody can show up at the border pregnant, have a baby, and that baby be a citizen. They didn't fight in any wars. They didn't spill any blood. They didn't farm any land. They just showed up. They're sitting right next to you in the hospital, sitting right next to your kids in school. They're reaping the benefit of your tax dollars and your ancestors, grandparents, and great-grandparents' tax dollars that built that community, that built that school. How does that make you feel? Because the Supreme Court has put it in stone. Again, you can vote how you want to vote. I'm not telling you how to vote. I vote my interests. I don't want anybody on the internet to ever say I said vote one way or the other. I vote my interests. So along with taxes is an immigration problem. You understand what I'm saying? And like I said, I love America. Number one, because this is my country. This is where my family roots are. This is where my people died. All my relatives, my uncles, Marine Corps veterans, granddaddy, Korea era war veteran. Both of my brothers, Marine Corps veterans. So we got blood in this soil. And I want America to continue to be the best it can be. Again, so shout out to all the 92%. Shout out with the 92% and everybody that voted for Kamala Harris. Type 92. Shout out to you. And you see this woman, she's probably one of them, more likely than not. But I'm going to let the sisters finish speaking. But this is the anger that Black Americans have. And after they found out that the Supreme Court said, you know, hell with the 14th Amendment just for Black people, we're going to let anybody who comes up here. This is something we fought and died for. All right? But let's let her finish.
You want to help me? Go home. Wherever that home is, go. Right. Ain't no white supremacy, American supremacy. Right? American supremacy. And if you don't know what an American is, now I don't know what to say. Because I know this one. Looking like that ain't no American. The original picture look like me. Sick of y'all too cold out here. Go to hell home. Go to hell.
There is something I do want to say.
Somebody type American supremacy in the chat room. There's a new one. Somebody type American supremacy in the chat room. American supremacy. That's a good one. I might use that. I'm gonna put it in the rap song. Somebody type American supremacy in the chat room. Look, immigrants are not gonna like that. But at the end of the day, we don't come to you all's country trying to tell you, we don't do that. Okay? And at some point, Black Americans and white Americans need to realize something. And I'm gonna tell you like this, and I've said it before, we were better off as a country when it was just Black Americans and white Americans. I know, controversial, he's xenophobic. No, I'm not. Because we had cohesion, we spoke the same language, we worshiped the same God. Although in different houses of worship, yeah, we had a whole lot of racism, but some kind of way, we found a way to work stuff out. Shout out to Timothy Bright. I'm just saying, you can be angry with me. This is my opinion. Okay, in my opinion, we had a lot. We fought wars together. We played sports together. We lived together. Yeah, we were segregated, but you know what? We didn't have what we have now. People understood what other people were. You understood your boundaries. I'm just saying, when we had 91% white, 9% Black, because see, here's the thing. We always talk about the 13% or 14% Black population. 25% of those people are recent immigrants and first and second generation immigrants. So even the 25% of the Black population are African and Caribbean. They just showed up. So the truth is the foundational Black American population, that's the people who can trace their heritage back to slavery. who were here before 1865. That's still 9%. I want you to keep that in mind. That's still 9%, more or less. And we were better off because the country cannot exist if you have all these. Look, man, look, I'm all for the culturalism. Cool. I like, that's great. But enough, sometimes too much is just too much. Okay? Too much is just too much. And I don't want to sound xenophobic, but I never thought as a person who watched 9/11 happen, I never thought that they'd be having these prayer bells going off in New York. I'm not saying anything. Okay? Worship who you worship, whatever you do. But this is America. Okay? Freedom of religion, get that. But at some point, if you have people who are not assimilating, then the culture is going to change. And I'll go back to what I said. I feel like America's better when it was just black and white, because at least we were all Americans. We might not have liked each other most of the time. We fought, but we fought within a certain parameters. We fought in the legal system. It was a couple of riots, but we managed to get along. We were here together for almost 500 years before all these immigrants showed up with their different cultural beliefs. And if you start looking at it, you got immigrants coming over here, they're anti-black. A lot of these immigrants are anti-white. Look at all the great leaders in Black America since 1865. Look at the ones who have the most firebrand style. A lot of them are immigrants, and a lot of them were influenced by immigrants. Black Americans have always been patriotic. We've always been service-oriented. It has never been a situation where Black Americans weren't patriotic. Yeah, we get it, racism. But what most Black folk who are raised in this country realize is that Black America America's, it's just part of the ethos. Racism is not going anywhere. You're not going to change anybody strongly. That's how they feel. And it's not going anywhere. But we still manage to work around that. Because in my opinion, and again, I'm just kind of going off on a tangent. In my opinion, racism is like the weather. You can't stop somebody from being prejudiced. I don't really care if anybody likes me or not. And that's really the most American thing you can be. Somebody who doesn't care. As long as your rights don't interfere with mine, you live where you want to live. We live our own lives separate. We come together when we need to get something done, and that's it. Now, I know that's a hard pill to swallow. I get that. But, now look at what we're dealing with. We got housing problems. We got Americans out of work. We got people who come to this country just to work. They send all their money back home, so they don't even circulate the money in the Black community or the American economy. It gets sent places like Nigeria and Jamaica and Mexico and wherever. So how is that helping us? If money is constantly leaving the economy, it's so hard for an American to buy housing. I mean, the highways are crowded over. It's food and gas. So, feel how you want to feel. I said it, but either way, shout out to Hannibal. Let's look at the next video. You guys make sure if you hear it clearly, you hit the #1 button. Now, I found this interesting. Check it out.
She's in an advanced state of pregnancy. It's quite common for pregnant ladies to travel overseas so that they can have the baby in whichever country to automatically get that passport. What's your final destination today?
No, today.
Today?
Today in London.
Okay.
I'm going to the US tomorrow.
You're going to the US tomorrow, okay. When you went for your American visa, did you tell them?
Now, here's the backstory. This lady is 37 weeks pregnant. Somebody type 37. She is popping. She has got that big belly in front of her, and she trying to sneak on the plane. She's over here in Nigeria. Her plan was to fly to the UK, and then from the UK, head off to the United States of America. Now, the game plan was to get on the, instead of taking that direct flight, she's going to go to the UK. They don't have birthright citizenship in the UK. So she didn't want to have a baby there. But if she goes to the UK, it's an easier flight to go straight to the United States. But this lady right here, who's a gate agent, caught her. Somebody typed caught slipping in the chat room. Caught her slipping and said, "Nah, LaBoo, you gonna have that baby right here," because this is what they do. All right. So I'm gonna let it play out a little bit, but this is really what's happened. This is why we think all the immigrants come up from the southern border. No, they fly over here. In fact, it's my information that you have more immigrants who fly here and overstay their visa than actually walk up through the border. And that's crazy to me. They coming through LaGuardia? Somebody type JFK in the chat room. They coming through LaGuardia, Miami and that. We can't stop them. What's wrong with y'all? Where are the TSA? Because they always ask me to take my stuff out the bag and put it on and check it and double check it. I mean, come on now. Can't see your baby? Put her back on a plane. Put her back on that Spirit Airlines and send her on back across that water. I'm just saying. But anyway, let's keep listening.
Tell the visa officer that you were pregnant? You didn't? No. Okay.
Got the traveling braids and everything.
Is there any reason why you didn't tell the visa officer that you were pregnant?
It didn't come up.
It didn't come up. Okay, what I'm going to do is...
The woman is only 7 weeks away from giving birth, yet has decided to visit her sister in America, claiming she will return 3 weeks before her due
It says
date.
that you're free to travel. Babies born in the UK don't automatically qualify for a British passport, but babies born in the US do automatically qualify for an American passport. So it's quite common for pregnant ladies to travel overseas so that they can have the baby in whichever country to automatically get that passport.
It's quite common for them a lady to travel overseas to get their passport. That don't need to be quite common. You know it. That's not something that needs to be common. You see a big swole up in the front woman like that, you need to turn her around. Ma'am, can you step out the line, please? Come on, step out the line. Oh no, bring your bags with you. Bring your bags. Come on, step out the line. Hell no. This is what we dealing with. And see, the thing is, with this Supreme Court ruling, this woman can come over to JFK, drop that baby off at Brooklyn General Hospital, okay? At Brooklyn General, and that baby have all the rights of every other American. I was born in New York, so I mean, just saying, think about that. Why is that? I mean, does that even make sense that all you need to do is come have a baby? And she said she was going to stay for 3 weeks. Those are not 3-week traveling braids, baby. Those are braids. I'm going to be here for about a month. No, those are not traveling braids. Okay. We know what traveling braids look like. Those are not they. I'm going to be here for a minute. I'm not going to have my regular braider. Maybe I can find one in Brooklyn somewhere. Okay. I heard they got some good African braiding shops and they got plenty of space available right now because they've been kind of slow on business. Nevertheless, those are not the type of traveling braids that you take out. It's a long time. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and let this white lady finish grilling her. Somebody type Karen at work in the chat room. Karen in the wild. Go ahead, Karen.
Sarah is suspicious of the woman's motive for traveling to the US via the UK, but she could also be in breach of airline regulations for traveling whilst pregnant.
When is she due?
5th of June.
When is her return?
16th of May. So she's got 3 weeks between her return date and her due date, which makes her 37 weeks pregnant, which is over every airline's limit.
The woman is in breach of the airline's policy, but as she has a valid US visa, Sarah must now
she is swole up pregnant. Look at that baby. That baby is hanging down over her lap. She got like 3 babies in there. 3 babies and a sack of cocaine. Look at that baby. Look at that belly sticking out. Ooh, wait, girl, you about to pop. Girl, you need to stay home. You need to be somewhere at home with your feet up. You about to come to America and have a baby. At least you could have came in like 5 months. You could have held your stomach in. Nobody would have noticed. Girl, you tripping. No, you need to stay there in Lagos and have that baby. Let's keep listening.
contact the US Embassy.
Hi, it's Sarah. I'm at the airport at the moment. I just wondered if you could give a call to the American embassy so that they can check an American visa for me. She's at the airport today and she's in an advanced state of pregnancy. So if you can just give them a call and find out if they're happy with that. And if so, then we can let her travel.
No, we're not happy with that. We're not happy with that. No, we're not. As average Americans, we're not happy with that at all. Keep her over there. Because as soon as she come over here, the first thing she gonna do is tell us to work harder. Somebody type work harder. She gonna be over here telling us how easy life is, and all we had to do was work harder. And she came here as a penniless immigrant, and her child was born. They gonna grow up and tell us we need to work harder, and I don't think that's fair. And I don't think most Americans think that's fair. But let's keep it. We lazy. That's what she gonna say.
Minutes before the flight leaves. But whether or not the pregnant woman will be on board is up to the US Embassy.
Right, okay. All right, I'll do that then. Okay, thanks very much. All right, thank you, bye-bye.
Say how that conversation. Where are you coming from? Nigeria. All right, hold on. Let me check my paperwork. No, go ahead and send them back. We don't have any room now. She'll have to come back. She can reapply next year, not today. All right, somebody type work harder in the chat room.
Okay, that was the American embassy, and they want to speak to her today.
The flight will be leaving without the pregnant woman. Now Sarah must tell her the news.
So what I've done is I've contacted the visa man and explained your situation. What he'd like to do is can you go back to the embassy here in Lagos, show him all this paperwork, and he'll want to speak to you. I'm sorry, I know it's frustrating, but if you can go back to him.
Tell her, Sarah. Tell her the truth. Sarah, the type to deliver it. Okay, your husband was checked in at 3:30, and he is now dead. And we need to make accommodations for your payment. It is now you owe us £37,000 for his operation preceding his death. That's Sarah right there. Sarah is cold-blooded with the game. Go ahead, Sarah.
Because, Madam, no, please don't beg me. Please don't beg me. No, Madam, please don't beg me.
I will not cut your bill. You need to pay your bill you make before you leave, or we will confiscate all of your belongings, and we won't be able to transport your husband's body to traditional burial grounds. So please make accommodations, and we will have you meet with the head manager in the office shortly. Thank you. That's Sarah right there. Sarah called.
The pregnant woman did not make it to the USA.
I cannot go back. I am supposed to make this flight. You ain't gonna get on that flight. But please, if you will, please don't beg me. No, I cannot make this flight. I must go. My sister is waiting for me. My brother, my sister. I know, man. I feel bad for her. But you was trying to scam us. You know he's trying to scam us. That ain't cool. You're wrong for that. Go ahead, finish, Sarah. Tell her.
When she failed to turn up at the American embassy, her visa was cancelled.
Oh, she didn't go to the American embassy. So she was like, you know what happened? She called whoever it was and gave her that little fake visa. And they said, no, don't come here. My boss is here. You will get me fired. Don't come. And so she just said, and didn't even show up. That's what happened. That's what's going on. It's a lot of scameration going on. That's my word. Nobody else is allowed to use it. Scameration. It's a lot of scameration going on in some of these places where people are passing out visas. It's not cool. Not cool at all. But again, before you feel sorry for her, I want you to understand the mentality of a lot of these folk. Because it's easy to be empathetic. It's easy to be empathetic because there's a pregnant woman. She just wants come to America for a better life. And I'm sure she's gonna work real hard, changing bedpans and all the stuff that we need, liberals need that cheap labor for. But it's just beginning to be too much. And see, the thing is, again, when they come over here, they get real arrogant. And I'm not talking about all black immigrants. I love my Nigerian doctors. Let me stand up for my night. If you a Nigerian, I like y'all. Y'all know everything. You hear me? I coughed 3 weeks ago and a pimple formed on my head. Oh, you have a TDS 785. That's what that is. They know I love a good Nigerian doctor. I love them. Happy you're here. Okay, especially when they fine. I like me a fine, thick chocolate. They thick all the way at the ankles. I like to look at them. I don't touch. I'm married. They fine. I like a thick Nigerian, and they strong too. They got them strong hands. I like that. Feel like I'm being gripped by the mother hand when they grab you. Okay, upside your head like that. I like that. Don't give me. I like me a good. I like Nigerian. I trust them. I trust the Nigerian doctors know every damn thing. You hear me? Every day, just know everything. Love them. Now, I don't want them to teach me math or science in the college because I don't understand what they're saying. Okay, but okay, I'll be mad because I'm like, y'all taking up all the jobs in the you taking up all the positions in the medical school. But damn it, they are excellent. So shout out to Black excellence. I love me some Nigerian doctors. Okay, that's different. We're gonna keep them. We're gonna keep all the thick Nigerian women, all the smart doctors. We like them. Okay, we gonna figure out a way. I believe in the melanin now. I tell my sons all the time, go get you a woman of African descent. Forget what I'm saying on the internet. Okay, don't worry about that. Get you a fine woman of African descent. Get you a fine brown woman. I don't care. She can be from the motherland. We likes the melanin. Somebody tell we like the melanin. We just don't like that attitude. Okay, I don't like that attitude. I don't like. If you Caribbean, you're a Caribbean chick from Jamaica. We like the melanin. We just don't like the attitude. If we can keep the melanin and you keep that attitude, fine. I tell my sons, I got 3 of them. I got light. Look at them over there. I got Roman, Dennis, and Elijah over there. I said, get you a fine. That's the little one over here. He real light skin. I told him you need to get you a pretty black girl so you can even out that color. You yellow. Okay, you don't need to get a yellow girlfriend. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. My bad. Light skin. You don't need a light skin. 2 light skinned people don't need to be together because they'll never get along. Tried it, it didn't work out. But that's a long story. But the bottom line is you need to get a woman of African descent. Now, I'm gonna be honest. Now I'm not gonna, beat it up, okay, with this. But yeah, so not all Africans and not all immigrants are tethered. Some people come over here, they work hard, and that's cool. Okay, we like that. Add on to the Black excellence, don't take away. But some of them are just, they show they complete and whole hind parts. Okay, and that's the problem that we have. Okay, and these ones, somebody type dirty Black American. These are the ones, right? Somebody type work harder. These are the ones that we don't get along with. These are the ones that make it hard for everybody. Let's keep listening.
I came to talk to my Black Americans on TikTok. Now, I know that you guys are very relevant. Anybody on TikTok, including myself, I am very relevant, and so are you.
Thank you.
But here's the thing. You have a reach, right? You have a reach that your content and what you say reach other people. So I came to talk to you folks today. What's your problem with migrants?
You mean
the way that I see you guys treating the Haitians? What's your problem? You realize that you treat your slave masters that have enslaved you for centuries better than you're now treating the Haitians. Why are you so mad at them? Because they came here and they work hard to achieve the things that they have while you lazy fucks sat on the farewell welfare system because your grandmother, mama, and everybody else was brought up on it. The people just want to know. Because the majority of you that I see singing praises to that orange fuck, that's what you're on. Living in the projects. Majority of the Haitians don't live in projects. Click that. They do not. They work hard to live in good apartments for their kids.
Let me know when y'all ready for me to yell. I'm doing my best to let her speak because y'all have told me you don't want me talking over the people who are speaking on the videos that you could go right to TikTok and see yourself. But I'm gonna let her keep speaking and y'all can keep yelling at her in the comments section, but it's not the same. But I'm gonna let her go ahead. Go ahead, ma'am. Keep talking because they don't want me to interrupt you. I want you to keep talking. Go ahead.
But Mr. Trump, here's the thing, Mr. Trump. Once those migrants go home, I want you to take off every single one of these evil fucks off of the welfare system and take away their Obamacare too, sir.
Ooh, Obamacare.
Any one of these able-bodied fucks that is talking their Mr. Trump, I know you listen to me. Take away all their welfare from them and let them go clean in the nursing home, sir. No, Mr. Trump. They wanted you to get rid of. Thank you, sir. You're getting okay. All right, you're doing what they asked you to do, sir. But make sure that all those fucks are in the nursing home working and cleaning the shit.
Now, let me know when you all are ready for me to respond. Let me know if you want me to respond. Somebody type say something in the chat room. Okay, it's like when you out with your boyfriend and he just standing there being quiet and you having to go back and forth with somebody and she don't want to say nothing. Or fellas, when you at your baby mama's house or your new girlfriend's house and her family's over there and they talking crazy to you and you don't want to say nothing and you want her to step in. Y'all let me know when y'all ready for me to say something, okay? Because other than that, I'm gonna be quiet because y'all told me you want me talking over the videos. But y'all got it. Y'all got it. Go ahead.
Out of your people's behind.
Worthless.
Guys, these fucks are even more upset at people that look like me and them than they are the slave owners that have enslaved them for decades. Okay.
So here's the thing. First of all, she's talking about welfare. Black people weren't even allowed to have welfare until 1965, mostly. Okay, so the majority of people on welfare are white. Okay, and here's the other thing: a large percentage of the so-called black people on welfare are people from Somalia, and I think they have the highest rate, the Dominican Republic, many of the other Caribbean islands, and many of the African countries. If you look at the top 10 people on welfare and you remove that's a large percentage. So basically, immigrants come to this country and they utilize the social services. Okay, they get a bunch of babies, and you see all the scamming and stuff they're doing. But I'm gonna go ahead and let her finish talk so y'all can get the full effect of this, because I don't want to seem xenophobic by saying anything response. Okay, I don't want to seem xeno, and y'all have told me not to speak when people are speaking. So I'm gonna let this TikTok video keep going.
Why are you so mad? Because migrants choose to come here and educate our children. They're not in prison serving life sentences or any sentence at all. They're excelling. Not our fault. I'd like you to look deeply into your own self and your own situation. Migrants come here with a mentality for a better life. You guys have the life right here, and you guys didn't even want it.
We didn't want it.
You threw it down the drain.
We threw it down the drain.
And now you think that Mr. Trump deporting black and brown people is it's not gonna make your life better. But it will, Mr.
That's the immigrant gays right there. Black and that's the immigrant gays.
Trump, here's the thing. I said no welfare for no able-bodied people in America. Take it away. We don't care about their kids, because here's the thing. I didn't breed them to give them their kids, Mr. Trump. Take it away from all those fucks.
She on y'all.
And let's see how it works out for them, Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, here's the thing. You know what? They're really teaching me that I need to focus on what you're doing, or realize that what you're doing is really not a bad thing, sir.
It's not a bad thing.
It's really not a bad thing. So,
this is what y'all wanted. Y'all told me to be quiet. I ain't saying nothing. I'm not going to interrupt the video because you all told me, don't talk over the video. Don't talk over the video. Now, if I was to talk over the video, I would say, well, ma'am, first of all, your face is melting. And so you probably need to not, talk bad about anybody in the first place. And it's not Mr. Trump, it's President Trump. That's what you should do. And another thing, you wouldn't even be in this country because you are black. And because you are black, they wouldn't have let you over here because they were real prejudiced. Okay. And the other thing is, most of your people left their country for a better place. So, you need to understand that it's a privilege and an honor for you to be here. And the only reason you are able to educate your children is because our tax dollars, and this is all Americans, have paid for that education. It is not free, ma'am. But I'm going to go ahead and let you keep going with your Bill Cosby, Jello pudding face looking self. Go ahead.
Mr. Trump, can you agree with me that once you're finished deporting, all these great people
These great people.
that have worked, that have
We deporting all these engineers and and PhDs. Somebody type engineers and PhDs. We deporting all these great people.
supported our economy, that those evil fucks wants you to get out, Mr. Trump. Can you just let me know when you take them off the welfare system and when we're going to give them those jobs, sir? Mr. Trump, you told us the other day that you were going to get jobs in the factories. Mr. Trump, that's a great job. Take them out of cotton fields and put them right in the factories.
But we still picking cotton in this woman's mouth. Where did her history class end? Her history class must have ended like 1852. Ma'am, we are not in the cotton fields. We are 200 years away from that almost. Why are we? I mean, is that it? Because I mean, they be chopping sugar cane right now in Jamaica. Okay, the Chinese is tearing y'all up. Y'all down there burning down hotels and so on and so forth. Because the Chinese won't even let y'all go to the beach. I'm just saying, ma'am. I'm just saying. But I'm gonna let her finish because this is what y'all wanted. Y'all don't want me to interrupt. I'm gonna let her talk. That's what you want, right? Y'all want the TikTok video. You didn't come here to listen to me. You came here for me to play TikTok videos for y'all to listen to. So that's what I'm gonna do. Go ahead, baby. Go ahead. Let them have it. Let them have it.
Mr. Trump, I'm not against that either.
Trump.
I'm not against that, sir. But as long as you can promise me that you're going to take these fucks off of welfare, food stamps, Section 8, and Obama, whatever care it's called now.
Obamacare, whatever.
Then, Mr. Trump, here's the thing. They will learn to appreciate life.
Immigrants.
And appreciate sacrifices that families made to move to this America. So, Mr. Trump, once you succeed in getting what you want to get done, let's put the African Americans to work, sir. Sir, let's put them to work, sir.
She want to put the African Americans to work. You hear me? Why they got all this smoke for black folk? I just want y'all to understand something. Like, let's go back to what I was saying. Again, I didn't agree with voting for Kamala Harris. But 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris and against Donald Trump. 79% of black men voted against Donald Trump for Kamala Harris, which means that had everybody followed black people's lead, we would have, number one, more people like this with this attitude, but you wouldn't even have these policies in place that are sending people home. And now you mad at black people? What are you mad at black people for? What did black people do? What did African Americans do to make all these? You mad because we're commenting, we told you so, we told you so. But you said, oh no, you just don't understand America, just work hard. I'm just saying, why is it that everybody has redirected all their animosity towards foundational black Americans, or as we used to refer to ourselves, black Americans or African Americans, people who can trace their lineage back to slavery? Well, why is that? I mean, what is the rationale behind that? You got Megyn Kelly, who literally said that she hates your country. It's a horrible country. Donald Trump said it's a shithole country. And you got all this spice for us. I mean, just think about that. Look at that. I mean, it's almost like, you know how when you mad at somebody else and then you go pick a fight with somebody else because you already mad, because you scared to pick on the ones so you already got animosity towards this one person. So now that you're mad, you're just going to take it out. I want you to just think about that rationale. And again, I got much love for a lot of immigrants. Like I said, jokingly, I love my Nigerian doctors, man. I love, brilliant people, and I'm comfortable. I love the blackness, but this attitude makes it difficult for us to be with you all. It makes it difficult for us to exist with you all in the same space, because it's not like you all moved to Utah and wanted to hang out with white folks. Y'all moved places like Houston, DC. You moved places like Dallas. You moved to places where we are. And then you have this attitude and you don't think just because you don't voice it, you don't think we can feel that. We black Americans are specialized. And our antennas go up, and we can tell when people don't like us, whether it's because of racial beliefs or whatever. This is how we survive. This is part of who we are. This is why we're so successful in this country. What's understood don't need to be said. You don't think we can feel the animosity even before you all got so bold and start voicing it? But again, this is what you would have got more of this if Kamala Harris came into office. So I'm gonna let her finish speaking because you all said you don't want me to say anything. So I'm gonna let her go ahead and talk. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. All my wrench mob people, make sure to let me know what the like count is. Okay?
Dissent, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And isn't that something, man? I mean, just the golly. What did we do to her? Shout out to Big Easy. What did we do to her? Why are we being targeted? What do we do? I mean, you angry with Black Americans? What did Black Americans do? Is Trump and his administration putting you out? Well, you mad at Black Americans for saying, see, we told you so. We told you this was going to happen. We told you them people don't like you like that. You only here because we wanted you here. And now that they're angry because Black Americans are not jumping to the aid and running out there trying to save it. That is not cool at all. But I got a couple more videos. We'll let another one play. And this young lady, she dropped a few immigration bombs. I want you to hear this truck driver. Listen to what he has to say. You all make sure you hit the like button and subscribe.
You are subject to removal from the country. It doesn't matter if you had a child in the United States. You either take your child with you or your child will be in foster care. And you must be a despicable mother to allow your child to be in foster care. You're not off the table. President Trump is still sending ICE to come pick you up. We have already deported over 10,000.
Man said we. You work for ICE, brother? Man said we already deported. Go ahead. He dedicated to the cause. Go ahead. Let's
illegal alien mothers that had U.S. born children. Your child doesn't save you. I'm just letting you know. ICE is picking you up. Yet that SCOTUS ruling yesterday on birthright citizenship doesn't save you. Just letting you know.
And we're heavy and hard. He's like, look, we're gonna pick you and that baby gotta go. You and that baby. That's what he said. That's harsh, man. You and you gonna send the mama home with the baby, dog. The mama and the baby gotta go. Everybody gotta go. And then the other thing is, as a practical matter, when you deal with immigrants, and it's not just Black immigrants, it's also all immigrants. But listen to this.
There are 1.45 million Black Americans unemployed. As of August 27th, 2025, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, there are 8.5 million illegal immigrants employed. 575,700 illegal immigrants.
Did she say 8 million illegal immigrants? There's 8 million illegal jobs out there. We could get them jobs. Somebody type them jobs in the chat room. They need to free those jobs up. You hear that? Think about that, right? And when I say that illegal immigration, it disproportionately affects Black men with high school educations, without high school educations, or with. That's what I mean, and so I don't understand how people could be mad. You mad at Black people when we literally voted against our own interest in voting for Kamala Harris. Not me. Okay, not me. I vote my interest. Okay, but the good, wonderful, lovely Black people that didn't want to see y'all get rounded up and sent home, they voted for Kamala Harris, who would have just opened the floodgates and let more immigrants in. Now, one thing I want you all to understand is, why is it that it seems as though the Democrat Party, and I'm not telling you to vote for it, but why is it though it seems like the Democrat Party wants to let a lot of illegal immigrants in? What's the point of that? Well, we have an upcoming census in 2030. And the way in which Congress works, the more people that you have in your state, the more congressional seats that you get, more House seats, as they call them. And so that means you have more power and influence in Congress, which means your group can get together and say, yeah, well, we need another $2 billion for California. And if you have 80 50, 80 congressional seats, then you have a big block of influence, as opposed to a place like Utah. Not trying to pick on Utah, because I've mentioned Utah a couple of times. And so they don't count whether the people are citizens or not. They only count bodies. And so whether you have 10 million people and 2 million are illegal immigrants, or 10 million people in all of them the cities, you still citizens, you still get counted as bodies. And that creates influence, and that influence leads to money. And so that's why the Democrats, they want more influence. And so they keep letting people come up. They busing them in and open up the southern border and filling up these different states, and basically replacing black people, because we are not cooperating. And so that's the politics behind what's going on. That's the incentive for them to just open up the floodgates and let all these illegal immigrants. They feel that, hey, if we can get them in here, we can count them, and on top of that, we can buy them and pay them off with social programs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's it. And there's some more to it, but I'm gonna let this lady finish speaking.
Work in construction, 364,200 work as maids and cleaners, 335,200 work as cooks, and the rest are in retail, administrative, customer service, and waste management. We are slowly being pushed out of the workforce and replaced by immigrants. They are being granted opportunities that our ancestors had to march for. And during the pandemic, 1.53 billion stimulus checks were given to illegal immigrants. $2.65 billion went to housing through March 31st, 2026. Along with housing, they got, in New York alone, illegal immigrants got $10,000 in food stamps and cash. Free housing, of course, as I just mentioned. Free education. They got granted jobs where they didn't have to have any education. A lot of them are working in hospitals as administrative or receptionists, and they don't have to have any education. Meanwhile, Black American workers have to qualify with degrees and trades and years of experience. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think what's going on in America right now with Black employees, Black workers, Black citizens. Let me know if you think that it's fair.
Somebody type black jobs in the chat room.
What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that those are black jobs. That's my thought. That's my number one thought. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Somebody type black jobs in the chat room. So this is what Trump meant by black jobs. Now he's, maybe not the most, he doesn't choose his words as wisely as I would think he should, but he gets his point across. And when you really think about the fact that you have all of these people in the workforce who are benefiting from the labor and hard work of Black Americans and what we fought for, it kind of should make you rethink the fact that most Black people voted for Democrats. I mean, look, if you're part of the 92%, fine. Okay, that's fine. You did what we've been trained to do. And again, I will never tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to do that. I'm not here. Matter of fact, let me say this. If you're a school teacher and your job requires that you have a strong union, you should vote Democrat. That's in your interest. But on the flip side, if you are a small business owner and you want to lower your taxes and lower your overhead, perhaps you should vote Republican. Okay. If you have a farm near the border and you need immigrants to come up there, or not even near the border, if you need immigrants to pick your fruit and whatnot, you probably should vote Democrat. I'm not telling you what to do. I tell you to vote your interest. But for the 92% of people who didn't really vote their interest, who just voted blue no matter who, think about the fact that you have all these immigrants who come to this country and are benefiting from the hard work of our ancestors. Okay. And being very ungrateful and being very facetious and very mean and very disrespectful, even amongst our Black immigrant brethren. And that's unfortunate. And let me say this, foundational Black Americans don't hate immigrants. We really don't think about them. We just I mean, if you don't think about you, you know, Jamaicans, Caribbeans, we don't, you know, we don't spend our day thinking about you all. You are not something that's on our mind. You know, the Black Brits, we didn't even know there was Black Brits. You know, James Bond, okay, the you know, Düsseldorf, that's what we think when we think about Britain. We think about, you know, bad food, cold weather. For those who've been over there, we liberated them or something like that. That's it. All right. But seems like you all have us on your mind all the time. But I'm gonna let this video play so we can do some further edification, and you all tell me what you think.
Out the South. They draw up demands, they send petitions to Congress, they hold demonstrations. Conventions meet throughout the South. They draw up demands, they send petitions to Congress, they hold demonstrations.
So yeah, this video kind of cut off a little bit, but it kind of goes into the history behind the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. We're talking about all the work that the political work that Black people did to get those. And it was for Black people, it was for the people who were freed from slavery. It wasn't for everybody. Okay. And, you know, I'm just saying that I really think that if Black people really thought about what was in their interest, less of them would more likely to not vote blue no matter who, at least on certain levels. If you want to vote for your Democratic mayor, your Democratic sheriff, maybe your Democratic district attorney, I get that. But on a national level, when we're talking about national policy, especially in a time like this, when we're talking about immigration and the appointment of Supreme Court justices, you have to be mindful what your interests are. And my suggestion to you all is, again, vote your interests. Now, I got one more video, and we're going to look at the on-the-ground effect of this Supreme Court ruling. Y'all check this out.
30,000 immigrants, mostly from Haiti and Syria, could face deportation. President Trump, with backing from the Supreme Court, has pulled the temporary protected status that immigrants were.
Somebody type temporary, okay? Temporary, words have meaning. Somebody type temporary.
Given while fleeing their home countries.
Fleeing.
10 on your side's Regina Mobley has reacted.
She must be listening to Brother Tariq Nasheed. She said fleeing. Somebody type flee in the chat room.
Action.
Damn.
On the Hampton Roads show, Chef Ariette Janesca wowed fans with her Haitian, African, Caribbean, Spanish, and French-inspired dishes. Janesca is also president of the Virginia Association of Haitian Americans. You've seen how...
Ooh, baby, you can open that restaurant back in Haiti. I'm sure they have a place for you down there in Haiti. You can open that. I mean, it sounds so delicious. French, Spanish, and what else did she say? Haitian cuisine. That sounds delicious. You can go down there and make some of that turtle soup and turtle pie down there. But I don't want any of you all to say anything about this woman's eyebrows. Okay. None of you are allowed to say anything about this beautiful, beautiful woman's eyebrows. I will ban you forever if you speak about her eyebrows. Okay. I'm just going to say that now. We're going to go ahead and let her speak.
ICE has conducted operations on other cities. Are you concerned that those types of snatchings could take place here?
Yes, I'm very, very concerned about that because it can happen at any time.
2 years ago, Janesca
I'm
and other
sorry.
Haitians.
You ever seen somebody and their voice don't match their face? I'm sorry, excuse me. I apologize for being petty. Somebody type petty in the chat room.
So president of the Virginia Association of Haitian
I know,
Americans.
serious. I know,
You've
but
seen how ICE has conducted operations on other cities. Are you concerned that those types of snatchings could take place here?
Yes, I'm very, very concerned about that because it can.
that's such a pleasant voice. Just so pleasant. Look at, if you talk to her on the phone after you met her on Bumble or something like that. Hey, yeah, I didn't see your picture. It was kind of distorted a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Her, beautiful voice. So beautiful. Go ahead, baby. Keep talking.
Can happen at any time.
2 years ago, Janeska and other Haitians met with Tenonier side after Vice President J.D. Vance spread a racist trope that Haitians in Ohio were eating cats and dogs.
Eating cats.
It's disgusting.
Eating the dogs.
It's very disgusting. It's just straight out racist.
I mean, her eyebrows go in the front and up at the out, and they so long. Look at them eyebrows, man. That's amazing, baby. You got like 2 eyebrows tacked together. Go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
It's very racist.
Haiti remains on the State Department do not travel list.
Ooh.
Esther Pierre, a former Wavy TV newscaster, was born in
I bet she can cook. I'd eat at the restaurant.
Haiti and was relocated to Virginia when she was an infant. If you were to land in Haiti and people see you, would they try to rob you?
Oh, yes. It is so dangerous that I wouldn't even try to go back to Haiti.
Hold on a minute, but they keep saying Haiti's superior to America and all that type of stuff. I mean, I'm just saying, y'all got to make up y'all mind. Either y'all gonna be superior or y'all too afraid to go back to the country that y'all love. Why y'all still got them flags out? You love it so much. Go on back there and make Haiti great again. But again, I'm always gonna be empathetic to these beautiful people. Beautiful, beautiful people. We share the very same history in that they were captured and brought to Haiti, and many of our ancestors were captured and brought to the United States. And so I empathize with them. But all this shit talking, let me just remind y'all of who we dealing with, okay? Because see, it's easy to be lulled into. It's easy to be lulled into, oh, they are people and whatnot, but golly, they just.
Good morning. How are you doing?
See?
How you doing? Black America, how are you? How are you? Now, here's the thing, Black Americans. Here's the thing. I'm going back to MAGA
really
tomorrow,
like
right?
you.
Tomorrow, I'm back at MAGA. But I got to give you one more day.
like
Just
you,
one
though.
more day, because I went into my inbox.
You don't need
I
to.
went into my inbox, so let me make it clear, Black America. Can I just make it very clear for you?
I don't really care.
I am not a part of your race baiting. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not doing that. The intention.
You the one that told us we were all on welfare and we need to work harder. That was very white
I
supremacist.
inbox, and here's what she said. She said that us Caribbean people don't realize what they went through.
Okay.
Now, I'm trying to understand you, my sister, because let me give you a little bit of history. Can I just give it to you?
We don't need to understand your history because we're not in your country. That's why your history is irrelevant to us. If we decide to move to Haiti or one of your Caribbean countries, it would be intelligent of us to learn your history, but you're in our country, so your experiences don't matter to us. You're here. You need to try to figure out who you're dealing with here. That's basic respect. But I'm gonna let you finish because I know they don't want me to interrupt you, but the arrogance, somebody type the arrogance in the chat room.
Before there was a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., there was a man called Marcus Messiah Garvey.
Marcus Messiah Garvey was a scamming Jamaican who came to this country in 1916 and immediately began to undermine the American progression that we have. He scammed Black Americans out of $600,000, which would be the equivalent of $12 million. By 1919, he was indicted by the federal government for mail fraud because he was sending out brochures with pictures of boats. One he called the Phyllis Wheatley, which he didn't even own. It wasn't even called the Phyllis Wheatley. Okay, so Marcus Garvey ended up going to prison and then deported back to Jamaica. So again, would you like to try again? Would you like to try? He was the one that wanted us to leave America and all the infrastructure that we created in the 15 to 18 million square miles worth of land, which is equivalent to about 4 states, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, and leave this and go back to Africa. Just leave it for the white folk. Just leave our houses and our businesses and the roads and the colleges that we built and just go back to Africa. He came up in after 3 years. He decided to interject himself into our business. Somebody type FBA business in the chat room. And so when you bring up Marcus Garvey, you bring up somebody who not only did he come up here with the scameration, somebody typed scameration, he also came up here with the division. Because remember, because our quote unquote elite, which he called the talented 10th, didn't want to go along with his scammy plan. They said, look, where's all the money, Marcus? You done took the black folk money. We could use that to build skill stuff we got going. He said, oh, no, y'all just a bunch of light-skinned sellouts. Y'all just want to be a bunch of white folk. So guess what they did? They called the equivalent of the ICE. They said, look, J. Edgar Hoover, we got this blackjack making we want you to pick up and send home. And that's what they did. And then he got mad at that, said it was a bunch of light-skinned haters. No, you were a scammer. Okay, Mr. Marcus Garvey, you was a scammer. So I'm gonna let this lady go ahead and finish because I know y'all told me y'all don't want me to interrupt. So I'm not gonna interrupt anymore. But it was a 6-year time period between when Marcus Garvey showed up on that boat from Jamaica and when he got put in jail. And it was 4 years after that, he went home. He created all that chaos. That's a tether. He created all that chaos in less than 6 years. So that's what you get for letting folk in your business, FBA family. I'm just saying, but I'm gonna go ahead and let the lady finish. Praise Moses.
Who left Jamaica and came to America to fight your civil rights movement.
Put out of Jamaica, ma'am. Ran up out of Jamaica. That's what he did. Yes.
If you don't believe me, go look it up.
I looked it up, studied it. Scameration. Somebody type scamming in the chat room.
Go look it up.
Scameration.
So don't you tell me that we don't understand what you went through.
I understand that he came up here scamming and took $12 million, which was equivalent to 2026 money, was 600. That's what I understand. Scameration and division.
Because we were there going through it with you. Marcus Garvey didn't track the track to come to America to fight civil rights for Jamaicans. He fought civil rights for you, the American black people.
Marcus Garvey came up here to scam poor black Americans who liked the way he talked and thought he was down for us. That's what it was. That's what he came. The people liked him because there's plenty of slick talking people that come over here with scammery ideas, but it didn't get us anymore. That's why he ended up in prison and got sent back to Jamaica. Somebody type deportee back in chat room. Deported boy. So.
As I said, I came here to remind you that your treatment towards the Haitian people is wrong. And I'm not going to take back my talk.
Okay. So why, since you're Jamaican, like, why the Jamaicans, you know, those Jamaicans that landed in Portland, Jamaica? Not Portland, Oregon. Portland. Why'd y'all send them back? Because it's my understanding that the Jamaicans are not taking any Haitians either. You want America to take them. The other Caribbean islands don't want them. But you just want the I'm just saying, because it seemed like the pot calling the kettle black to me. Why don't y'all take the Haitians? If you know America's so horrible, why don't y'all take them down in Barbados? Where's all the Bajans at? Where's all Dominicans? Why don't y'all take some of these Haitians off our hands? Since y'all love each other, since we ain't got this Caribbean Jamaicans, come on, take these Haitians. Y'all can come get them. Since we so wrong, right? Since America's so wrong, because it can't. But I want y'all to remember, Black Americans voted against this. But she got all this smoke for Black Americans because they saying we told you so. You don't have nothing to say to white folk. White folk, this is how we get treated. This is how we get treated. Black people voted against this, and yet people like this are blaming Black people because we're tired of the scameration. We're tired of the disrespect. You see what I'm saying? I mean, look, y'all can look. Uncle D got love for you, baby. I got love for, but we got to speak the truth on this page, right? Go on to Cuba. Go on to Cuba. Get y'all little, y'all little Caribbean unity. Go ahead, go to Cuba. If it's so bad, we so bad of us. We so bad we don't want to work. We all on welfare. We all violent. Go ahead and go down and hang out in Jamaica and Cuba and whatnot. So bad we're such horrible people. Go eat your little beef patties down there and leave us your little curry goat and roti and sorrel. Get all that down there. Go to Trinidad. I want all the Haitians just get your boat and go to Trinidad. That's what I want you to do. The Trinidadians want you. Okay, go hang out with the people in what's that down there? Trinidad and Tobago's. Go to both of them. That's what you do. All right. But again, this is the disrespect that Black Americans are tired of. But again, we voted to keep folk coming up here. I just want you, somebody type 92% in the chat room.
While the Haitians were here working hard, you guys were buying Nikes, Adidas, and Pumas. You were supporting the music industry. When those people are working night and day, they don't sleep.
We were supporting the music industry while they were working night. You mean like what? Trina? I don't know. Uncle Luke, Nicki Minaj. Who else were we supporting? Lil Kim, Biggie Smalls. All of them are Caribbean. Biggie is from Jamaica. Lil Kim is Jamaican. Luke, you know, Pop, that he's Bayesian, right? Nicki Minaj is from Trinidad. So, and it's funny, all of them have the same thing in common. All that degenerate hip hop that invaded the rap industry, all oriented from those Caribbean roots. I'm just pointing it out since you want to talk about it, since we supporting the music industry that you don't like. Right. And y'all can verify what I'm saying. I've done broadcasts on these folks. You can look it up for yourself. All that degenerate music and stuff came from those influences. Look it up. Check it out. It's my opinion that the whole East Coast, West Coast beef was the fact that you had all these Caribbean folk on the East Coast, and they literally thought they were better than folk down South. And that's why they always used to put the South. And who's down South? FBA. And who's from that primarily in places like New York? Even in New York, FBA will tell you it's mostly Caribbean folk. And y'all look down on Black Americans. How do you come to another group's country, an indigenous group of people? You come to their country and talk stuff about them. Black people would never go to Jamaica and disrespect Jamaica. We would never go places like Belize and disrespect the Garifano. I messed that name up, but we wouldn't do that. We're not those type of people. Black folk go places and be quiet. Even that issue that was going on last year in Jamaica when the hurricane hit and people were mad, complaining about how they couldn't take a shower and so on and so forth. Those are other Caribbean people complaining about the accommodations at that Jamaican hotel that ran out of food. That's not us. We don't do that. Of course, you know, you might not want to take a boat ride, you know, on a Carnival cruise, because unless you bring your boxing gloves with you, but that's pretty much how we get down, baby. We're gonna ride there on the boat, get off there, buy something from the Indian people for a couple of hours, and get back on the boat and go back and get some of that sweet lemonade, that juice that they have at the bar. We're not trying to miss the evening meal. You understand? We're trying to get ready so we can go to our special meal and not be late. You understand? It took 3 days to book it. The trip is gonna be over in 7, so we got to go ahead and do that. That's what we do. Okay, we might box with you a little bit. We might. What? I can't believe where's my goddamn Newport's at. Shit. Who you talking to at the goddamn club? Goddamn 3 o'clock in the goddamn morning. You goddamn bring your ass back in here, lethal. We might do that. But we're not gonna be just disrespecting people like that, man. And that's not cool, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and let her finish. Now, do y'all like me better talking or being quiet? Because I could be quiet if you want me to. Let me know. Y'all want me to go back to being quiet? Just let her talk. I can do it. Whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm.
You were getting your food stamps, your Section 8, your checks for free. You didn't realize that free comes with a price? Because now you see people elevating, stepping up, and you're just stranded right where you started and feel like you're going nowhere. Here's the thing. Don't blame your own Black people. As I said, look into yourself. Look deep into yourself.
You are not our own. You are not our, y'all would tell people, no, I'm not Black American. I'm Jamaican. I'm not Black American. I'm Caribbean. Matter of fact, y'all look down. What do you mean? Our own people. Hold on a minute. Let me look. I distinctly remember y'all saying we have our own nation. Now we are the same people. That was a good one. You tried to sneak it in on me. Didn't work. We caught that. Somebody typed, we caught that. We ain't the same, baby. We not the same. We not the same people. No. And y'all, we tried to be the same people for years, but you all said we're not the same people. That's what y'all told us. You said we have no culture. Remember, y'all told us we don't have a culture. Y'all told us that. Y'all told us, you know, we slaves and plantation. That's what you told us. And so now you low key talking about we the same people. So now I see why you're angry. You angry because we don't want to come save you like we're the same people. You want us to come jump in front of those guns. You think you better than us. You want us to come take them water hoses and dogs and stuff. You want us to come tackle ICE. That's what you want us to do. When they come in there trying to, you know, take you back to Jamaica and round you up and Haiti and whatnot, you want us to come interfere. We're not doing that. We are not doing that. We did that. Our ancestors did that. We are beyond that. Okay, we are as the ladies say, booked and busy. Said we are resting. This is your fight. We did everything we were gonna do was done at the polls in November 2 years ago in 2024, and it's on you. I'm just saying, pretty girl. I'm just a pretty melted faced lady. But let's go ahead again. You know, now we don't want to just pick on the Caribbean again. And I love my melanated. What? Look.
Please, you know, back in Africa, we can tell somebody "fuck you."
Okay, she
As
got
an
a
African living in America. Please, you know, back in Africa, we can tell somebody "fuck you." We can tell somebody the N-word, and nobody's gonna get mad.
Use the N-word in Africa. Why y'all using the N-word in Africa? I thought all the N-words were brought over here. But anyway, go ahead.
Here in America, if you try that, nigga, you're gonna receive
family friendly.
some punch. Okay?
Yeah, punch.
So no play. These niggas here are not playing.
Don't play with these
so
niggas.
Man, as an African American, I learned it the hard way. So let my
She claims she's an African American. I want y'all to type African American. I want you to listen to what she said. As an African American, this is why we changed ourselves to FBA. Okay.
And as an African American, I learned it the hard way. I learned it the hard way. So learn how to mind your tongue and mind your business.
I learned how to mind my tongue.
See you guys in the next video, man.
You guys, I will see you. This is like a goddamn, I don't want to say it, a stud cowboy or something like that. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Praise God. God is good. We're going to go ahead and get on out of here and go ahead and finish the lesson. Okay, because we need to get the lesson in because it's important. Y'all make sure have you all subscribed to the channel? If not, I need to make sure you all take the time to do that. Now, let's get back to this birthright citizenship fight. And my whole point that it's all just the beginning, right? But I want to kind of start with temporary, okay? Somebody type temporary means temporary, okay? Let me tell you what I think is getting lost in the entire conversation. And it's going to kind of go, we had our jollies. But the media is framing this as though something was taken away and that was supposed to last forever. Okay, that's what I see happening. But that's not what temporary protected status means. The key word again is temporary, right? Is that I mean, you learned that in the third grade. Temporary means what? Not forever. Okay, temporary doesn't mean permanent. It doesn't matter whether the protection lasted 18 months or 18 years or 5 years or 15 years or 15 months. Temporary means eventually it comes to an end unless it's extended. And so when I hear people say, but they have jobs, they have children, they have driver's license, they have built their lives here. My response is very simple and practical. That's understandable on a human level. But none of those things change the legal meaning of the word temporary. If you build your life around a status that everyone knows is temporary, there's always a possibility that one day that protection will end. Now, let me speak directly to my audience. And many foundational Black Americans are watching this debate with mixed emotions because we've heard very different messages over the decades. Whenever we talked about systematic racism and discrimination and unequal opportunity or barriers that affected Black Americans, many immigrants, including some within the Haitian community, would tell us America isn't perfect. Just work harder. Somebody type work harder. Work harder, stop complaining, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We were told racism wasn't a problem. We were told personal responsibility was the answer. And now suddenly you got these same people talking about racism. It's a racist decision. And I don't really think it's necessarily racist. I just think that we want the immigrants gone. It's economical, but whatever. Maybe you think whatever you want to think, whatever. I think it's maybe a little sprinkle of racism in there. But the truth is, we all want you gone. You saying the black people are saying the black people who want you gone are racist? Is that what you're saying? Huh? But again, when we talked about what we were dealing with, the prejudice, the bigotry, the racism, you dismissed us. Again, you told us to work harder. And now that the immigration policy affects you personally, suddenly, you throwing the R word everywhere. And that's why you're seeing so little empathy from so many Black Americans in the community. They're responding with the very same advice they say we received over the years. Work harder, figure it out. And whether you agree with that response or not, that's the energy you put out there. And that's the sentiment you're hearing from foundational Black Americans. This isn't really about whether people feel compassion for Haitian families. Most of us do. We do. We don't want to see families torn apart. That's white people, Black people. We feel sorry. But again, the issue is consistency. If your philosophy has always been that America isn't perfect, but people should work harder and adapt, then don't abandon that philosophy simply because the policy now affects you and your community and your family. And see, I think there's another reason you're seeing FBAs not flooding the streets, organizing or protesting or screaming racism or whatever. It's because many years, foundational Black Americans felt like we were being treated as though our history didn't matter. Okay, we were told that our grievances were just excuses. We were lectured about work ethic, and we were told that if immigrants could come here with nothing and succeed, then Black Americans had no legitimate complaints. And instead of standing in solidarity with us, your brothers, right, the descendants of the people who helped build this country, many of you all felt, you just decided it was better to talk down to us and distance yourself from us. And, you use us as a comparison to make someone else's success story look better. And so today, what you hear from a lot of Black folks is, we told you so. We told you the government policies matter. We told you the legal status matters. We told you that the color of your skin in this country matters, whether you like it or not. And we told you that the laws will change on you unless you keep up that pressure. And see, the minute Black Americans eased our foot off the gas, we lost affirmative action. You lost your immigration status, because Black folks stepped back and said, all right, you got it. Because sometimes, as my grandma used to say, you can show them better than you can tell them. In other words, they didn't believe fat meat was greasy. They thought we were just making up stuff. You got to keep the pressure on. Okay. And so now that Black Americans are resting, people, you see it falling apart. America's going back to what we know it is. Okay. Again, we told you that your circumstances can change overnight because decisions are made in Washington, D.C., depending on who the president is. And when we said those things, too many people just laughed. They dismissed us. They told us we were lazy, we were on welfare, we just need to work harder. And too many people said we were just making excuses, and now the shoe's on the other foot. And this is why you're not seeing that level of outrage from foundational Black Americans, heritage Americans, the Solon people, ADOS, whatever you want to call us. We know who we are, the American Negro, okay? But we spent decades asking for understanding, and, we were told to stop complaining. So today, we're being asked to extend a level of solidarity that we don't believe was extended to us. And whether that's right or wrong is something each person has to decide for themselves, okay? Some people are going to get down with the get down. They're going to try to help out. But the reality is that's the sentiment. And the legal reality is even more straightforward. TPS, or temporary protected status, it was never designed to guarantee permanent residence in the United States. It was created to provide protection during some extraordinary conditions like hurricanes in the home country and, the war, disorder, upheaval. And if the government decides those protections should end, then the legal status changes. That's how TPS work. That's how temporary programs work in general. And you might disagree with the policy. You might think, it should have it extended. You might, well, it's still bad in my own country, right? And that's a legitimate political position. But calling the expiration of temporary legal status racism, I want you to roll that back. Temporary. If it's temporary the whole time, right? And you're calling it racism because it's ended, that just make you stupid. It's temporary. It went on 15 years. How much more temporary do you need? You wanted the temporary to end after you reach retirement age? Huh? You trying to get a Social Security check before you go back? Again, calling the expiration of a temporary legal status racism, that's not an argument. That automatically answers a legal question. Okay, and this is where foundational Black Americans believe that our political voice matters. See, for years, people ask, what political power do FBA actually have? Remember that they say we have no power. Remember they would say that? What political power do you have? Well, y'all can't do. All y'all do is beg. I've heard them say that. Disrespectful. Okay, and now you're watching that part of that answer right now. They're seeing it happen unfold to them. As soon as we move back away, the political influence that we have is gone. See, it's not just about electing candidates. It's also about deciding which issues receive our support and our advocacy and our energy and our voice. Many FBAs have decided that they're no longer going to automatically mobilize every time someone else is injustice, every time they deal with injustice, because they've dismissed ours for decades. And that response is very simple to understand, right? Quid pro quo, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And so when we told folk how racism in America really worked, many of them told us to stop complaining and work harder. I need the church to say work harder in the chat room, work harder. That's what they told us. As if working harder was going to answer these questions. You understand? When you warn people about the government policies and how they could change their future overnight, right? And they said we were making excuses. So today, foundational Black Americans are looking at this situation saying, oh, well, we told you so. And whether people like hearing it or not, that's the conversation. And that's taking place in communities all across America. Now, a lot of people are looking at the Supreme Court decision and saying, we lost, because I want to dig into that a little bit. But I want you to understand exactly what happened before you panic. And I'm talking about birthright citizenship. Let's break this down even further. We're going to learn something. All right? We're going to learn something. Just pay attention. I'm going to speak slow. I'm going to speak in a level that's relatable. It's very complicated, but I want you to listen to this. Now, the Supreme Court rejected President Trump's effort to limit birthright citizenship through this executive order, which is his right to do, to sign executive orders. And in other words, the court left it in place the long-lasting interpretation of what the 14th Amendment had been. And with very limited exceptions, such as children of foreign diplomats or a person born on American soil is generally considered a U.S. citizen. That's just what it's been for years, a decade, hundreds of years, actually 100 years at least. So if you're looking only at today's results, then yes, or yesterday's result, that effort to change birthright citizenship by definition is unsuccessful. Shout out to my man, Few Quan. I'm always going to give a big shout out to Few Quan no matter what I'm doing, because he come in and he always contribute to the super chat. You're going to be the real MVP of the week, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. But thank you, brother. But again, definition is the same. All right. And here's where a lot of people are missing the bigger picture. Constitutional law rarely changes overnight. The Supreme Court is generally reluctant to overturn interpretations that have been accepted for many decades or centuries. And that means anyone who understands how the court operates knew this was always going to be an uphill battle. Even Trump said he didn't think he was going to win. Okay. And what the red side was trying to do, all right. Let me see I guess what many people who are pro changing or conservatives or whatever you want to call them, pro Republicans, they're upset about the outcome. Okay, we lost. Okay, or they lost. But it's the fact that several justices were willing to, I would say, seriously consider the arguments. They entertained it in the first place, that challenged the traditional understanding of the 14th Amendment citizenship clause. Not because, see, here's the thing. Not long ago, many believed that those arguments would be dismissed overnight. It would have been 9-0 ruling. And the thinking is that this major constitutional change usually is going to happen over time, like it normally does. And so, you have legal scholars, you have judges, and they begin to take those arguments more seriously. And eventually, the composition of the Supreme Court is going to change, and that's key. And that's exactly how the law surrounding the Second Amendment evolved over time. And many conservatives believe that the same process is now taking place with birthright citizenship. So it's going to take time. And so their message, I guess the conservatives, their message isn't that, hey, we didn't win today, but we moved the ball downfield because they made a little headway. They believe this decision shows that the legal debate has shifted enough that the future Supreme Court appointments, the court could one day adopt a narrower interpretation of the 14th Amendment than the one that they have right now. And whether you agree with the prediction or not, that's the point that I'm making. Okay, what I'm saying is today's decision or yesterday's decision wasn't an end fight. It was evidence that the fight is moving in the direction that I believe will eventually lead to a different constitutional interpretation. Now, let me put my own little lawyer hat in this for a minute, because I want to separate politics from law. A lot of people are reaching this reacting to emotionally to this case, but as an attorney, I think it's more important to understand what the legal arguments actually were and how strong they really were. First, I've heard people say that the Supreme Court ruled it was 6-3. Okay, that's it. But if you really start looking at it, it was a 5-4 split, in my opinion. Because let me say it like this, because of some of the writing. All right, just some of the writing. And as lawyers, we don't rely on the headlines; we rely on the actual language of the court. Shout out to my man Fuquan. Now, second, there's no question that the traditional understanding of the 14th Amendment for well over a century has been virtually everyone born on American soil is a U.S. citizen, with only a few exceptions, such as children of foreign diplomats. And, there used to be Native Americans, but that's not what it is now. They actually came up with a law. Now, the Supreme Court relied on a case called United States versus Wong Kim Ark. And for generations, that case has been understood to recognize birthright citizenship for nearly everyone born in the United States. Now, here's where the legal debate becomes very interesting. Over the last several decades, you have had a number of constitutional scholars have challenged that traditional interpretation. Okay, and they've argued about the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof" and how it should be interpreted more narrowly than the courts have historically interpreted. Shout out to Deesh Brown. Thank you so much. On the other hand, you have a lot of constitutional scholars who continue to argue that Wong Kim Ark correctly interprets the citizenship clause. So, understand that this isn't a debate between people who know the law and who don't. Okay, this is a genuine constitutional debate. You have, very serious legal scholars on both sides, and this also helps explain Clarence Thomas's position. Now, if you read Justice Thomas's writings over the years, and I know most of you all have never read anything that the man wrote, you don't know anything about him, you just know you were told that he was a sellout, okay? What I want you to understand is you'll notice a consistent theme. He believes constitutional provisions should be interpreted according to the original public meaning and historical context. And when discussing birthright citizenship, Justice Thomas repeatedly emphasized the history surrounding the adoption of the 14th Amendment after the Civil War and its purpose of securing citizenship for Black people who were formerly enslaved. And whether the original historical purpose ultimately limits the scope of citizenship clause is precisely the constitutional question on which the judges and the scholars are continue to disagree. Now, I've also heard people say that the Supreme Court is only one justice away from changing birthright citizenship. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Okay. The truth is nobody knows, because once these people get elected, you don't really know what they're going to do. Okay. Now, the future Supreme Court decisions depend on the facts of the case, the arguments presented, the procedural posture, and how the justice analyze the issues. And judicial philosophy, it can give us clues, but it doesn't always predict who votes how and when and why. And here's my overall assessment. Historically speaking, the background is most accurate. The explanation of how constitutional precedent develops over time is generally accurate. And where I think people get ahead of themselves is when they start predicting inevitable outcomes. So could a future Supreme Court reinterpret the citizenship clause more narrowly? It can happen. Yeah. Is it guaranteed? No. That's a prediction. It's a political legal forecast. Okay. Not an established fact. The biggest lesson I want you all to take away from this discussion is that constitutional law evolves. In other words, I'm trying to give y'all hope. Somebody type hope in the chat room. You all who are disappointed that we're about to get flooded with a bunch of anchor babies, I'm trying to give you hope, okay? All right, and sometimes it evolves when you talk about constitutional law because of new historical scholarship. Sometimes new arguments gain traction. Sometimes it evolves because the composition of the Supreme Court changes. And that's exactly why these debates matter, okay? So as lawyers, our job is to distinguish between the law, what the law is today, and what some people believe the law should become tomorrow, and what remains, nothing more than informed speculation. Now, let me explain why so many people are looking at the Supreme Court decision differently. Shout out to Fuquan. Okay, again, we lost. Pretty obvious. Okay, but when you look at how people voted, all right, again, the majority consisted of Chief Justice Roberts, Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. The dissenters, Justice Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch. So you had a 6-3 decision. But again, Kavanaugh was interesting. He kind of gave us some leeway. So it feels like a 5-4 to me, but it was 6-3 on the books. Okay. But let me run this down to you. So I think we're closer than ever, right? If that's your goal, and because it has everything to do with where they believe, or where I believe the law is heading. 20 years ago, few people believed the Supreme Court justices would seriously entertain some arguments about the 14th Amendment. And today you got a 3-6 split. So it's going in the right direction. Okay. Now, whether the argument ultimately prevails is another question. Nobody knows what the future Supreme Court will do. Nobody knows who the justices will be or who they will vote for. But, it's going to come up again. That's inevitable. So if you're asking me what I think the best takeaway is this: don't confuse today's outcome with the end of the constitutional debate, because things are going to change. The minute we start going from 250,000 anchor babies dropped off every year in the United States to 1 million, y'all are going to put pressure on everybody. Okay. So again, the law is the way it is today for a reason, but legal arguments around the 14th Amendment are being taken more seriously. Now, and I'm not gonna hold y'all here all day. I got a couple of things I want to say. Let me make something very clear because people love putting labels on me. Okay. I don't consider myself a conservative. As I said earlier, I'm a registered Democrat. I've been a Democrat my entire adult life. I voted for Donald Trump in 2020 and again in 2024 because after doing my own research, I believe he was a better candidate for our country. I didn't vote for him in 2016 because at the time he was a wild dude. He was a dude from, with the buildings and the gold plated, everything, toilets, right? And he was relative unknown, and I thought Hillary Clinton was a safer choice for America. Okay, so I held my nose and I voted for her. All right, even though I never forgot that years earlier she referred to young black men like me as super predators. Shout out to Big J, Mr. J. Somebody type super predators. I didn't forget that, Hillary. She referred to young black men who were my age who looked like me as super predators. And then I watched Donald Trump govern for 4 years, and what I saw changed my mind. I liked the fact that he came in, kicking over, firing people, and I watched, I watched someone walk into Washington D.C. and challenge the political establishment and completely reshape the Republican Party. He gave them that work. He made them all bow down, and I like that. If I hire you to be in charge, I want you to be in charge. And whether you love Donald Trump or hate him, you can't deny that he fundamentally changed that party, didn't he? He fundamentally changed politics. He brought it to heel. He made many of those policies Republicans pursue at the federal level align with what I believe are in my interest on the federal level. Somebody typed taxes and immigration in the chat room. And at the same time, I still vote for Democrats on many local races. For judges, I vote Democrat. For district attorneys, I vote Democrat. I vote mixed ticket because I don't believe in voting blue no matter who. I don't believe in voting red no matter who either. I vote my interest. And since we only have two choices, if you consider sitting on the couch, then there's three choices. But again, I vote my interest, all right? I spend the time, I do the research on the candidates, and then I cast my vote accordingly, or I don't vote if I just don't like either one of them. Now, with that said, if you're a conservative and you're discouraged by today's Supreme Court decision, I think you're looking at it the wrong way. Constitutional law rarely changes overnight. It changes gradually. Okay, the biggest story is that several justices are willing to seriously consider the legal arguments. And a generation ago, they wouldn't have at all. Now, history teaches us that this is often how constitutional law works. So, many people believe that the same process is now taking place with birthright citizenship. But whether they're ultimately right or wrong, that's not really the point. The point is that the debate continues and it's going to change. Now, another very interesting thing. I want y'all to listen to what I'm saying. So, Justice Clarence Thomas and Ketanji Jackson, two types of black people. Somebody type two types in the chat room. Two types of black people. Okay, two interesting. I'm just saying they could like night and day. Okay, like night and day. Two types of black people. Two types. And I base that on, here's the thing. If you want to understand why so many black Americans struggle to build lasting political and generational power, you have to be willing to examine ideas instead of personalities. See, too often we judge people. I'm talking about us. Somebody type us in the chat room. We judge people based on who they are instead of what they actually believe. We become so consumed with labels that we stop listening to the substance of the argument. And in this case, it's perfect. It's a perfect example. Now, let's try this. Let's forget the names. Let's forget the political parties. Let's forget the fact that Justice Clarence Thomas is black and forget that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is black. Forget that both of them are married to white people, okay? Forget everything you know about them and their personality. Instead, read what they actually wrote. And to understand why Justice Thomas begins where he does, you have to understand the single most infamous Supreme Court decision in American history. That's Dred Scott v. Sanford. Dred Scott was a black man. He was an enslaved black man who argued that because he lived with his owner in a free territory where slavery was outlawed, he had become a free man. Sounds like a good argument to me, right? Free territory, slavery is outlawed here, free land, free, right? But the Supreme Court of the United States never really answered the question. Instead, Chief Justice Roger Taney issued one of the most disgraceful Supreme Court decisions ever written by the court. The court held that black people, y'all listen, black people, whether enslaved or free, weren't citizens of the United States within the meaning of the Constitution and therefore had no right to sue in federal court. I want you to understand something. We had lived in this country for hundreds of years at that point. We held office, we married, we'd owned land. We served in the military and the militia. We literally had a black man who was a judge, and now you're saying that. And these were free black people and enslaved black people. It was one thing to say that the enslaved black people weren't citizens, but now you saying the free black people too? Think about that. I want you to think about that. Because of a Supreme Court decision, you were no longer treated like a free person when you were born free. People in New York never been enslaved. But what about the black people that came to visit? Were they also not, they weren't citizens at all too? They get treated like say, think about that is a horrible case. But Taney didn't stop there. He went on, it got worse. He went on and write that black people were beings of an inferior order, altogether unfit to associate with the white race, either in social or political relations. Now, he didn't say sexual relations because he probably had him a little mulatto chick back at the house. But this is what he said. He said they had no rights which the white man was bound to respect. Can you imagine if you couldn't call the police on white people, or you couldn't sue somebody who came and took your land? That's what that put us in. Think about that. This is what these foreigners, these black people from these other countries don't understand, because they're the ones that, they're the majority population in their country, so they don't have to deal with it. But this is what black folk had to come up with, okay? Now, he further stated that, and again, this is the reason why the 14th Amendment, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment had to be enacted upon as soon as the Civil War was over, because this is what we were looking at. We were literally not just not able to vote. I mean, think about that. This is where we came from. Okay, and so it's amazing, and it shows you the miracle of what America is, that through hard work, political argument, and using the legal system, that we've gone from being a group of people that didn't even have a group of rights to having black people who are multimillionaires, powerful, influential, and even presidents and first ladies in Congress. But either way, you know, this wasn't simply a bad opinion. It was a constitutional declaration that the black Americans could never truly belong to the American political community. And that's why Justice Clarence Thomas begins his dissent by reminding us that this court's decision in Dred Scott v. Sanford would have permanently denied citizenship to black people as a subordinate and inferior class. That's why he started off with that. He then explained that after the Civil War, the Reconstruction Congress overruled Dred Scott, first with the Civil Rights Act of 1866, then with the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment, and finally he reminds us why Congress acted and blacks were entitled to citizenship, because they were Americans. Somebody type that in the chat room. Americans. So the next time somebody tells you that Black Americans don't have a country, you remind them that no, it is part of this country that Blacks are entitled to citizenship because we are Americans. So we were Americans before we were citizens. Think about how powerful that statement is. I don't want any of you Black Americans to ever think that you don't have a country. This is your country. You were Americans before you were citizens. So when they say you don't have a country because you were slave, no, we were still Americans. We were enslaved Americans. We didn't have the rights of citizenship, but we were still Americans. And I'm never going to let that go. This is our country. Even before we were citizens and before we had political rights, we were Americans. So we were Americans that whole time. And this is what he goes on to say. They had no other homeland. They owed no allegiance to any foreign power. They were subject to no authority. This is Clarence Thomas. Notice where Justice Thomas starts. He starts with history. He starts with slavery. He starts with Reconstruction. He starts with the constitutional evil done to us. Okay? The 14th Amendment was meant to correct. Now let's flip the script and let's two types of Black people. Y'all learning something? Two types of Black people. I ain't gonna be here that long. I gotta get y'all out of here. I gotta take that drive home from work or wherever you at. Justice Ketanji Jackson, you know, the it girl. Somebody type it girl in the chat room. Look at where she starts. She starts from a whole different constitutional philosophy. She starts off, she criticizes Justice Thomas for what she says is a narrow vision of the 14th Amendment. What does that mean? Oh, it wasn't just meant for Black people who were slaves. That's what y'all girls said. Somebody type it girl in the chat room. Y'all was so happy, girl, we got the first Black woman appointed. This is your it girl. The it girl arguing that he, talking about Clarence Thomas, improperly treats the citizenship clause as a race-conscious remedial measure enacted only for freed slaves such as Dred Scott. Well, who was it for then? You don't think it was race-conscious? So this Ketanji Brown is saying, oh no, the 14th Amendment wasn't race-conscious. That had nothing to do with race. It wasn't just enacted to free for free slaves. This is what the it girl said. Guess what she argues? She says that the Reconstruction Amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, they were an anti-caste, anti-subordination reset for the nation. Wasn't nobody else here. Did y'all hear what I said? With 91% white, 9% Black. Oh no, this is about anti-caste, anti-subordination reset for the nation, not mere spot treatment for a dark stain on slavery. Oh, slavery had nothing to do with it. There was this broader caste system where everybody was treated bad, and well, what? So I want you to think about this. So according to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the framers adopted language that transcended race and region and changed and broadened the meaning of freedom for all Americans. What she said was that the citizenship clauses reflects this universalistic approach. So it's not about Black people being enslaved? Now, I believe she went wrong there, respectfully, to the honorable judge. Okay, the 14th Amendment didn't emerge in a vacuum. They didn't just say, oh yeah, we should probably give votes to Black people, give them citizenship and let them be citizens. They are Americans. It was enacted after generations of slavery. It was enacted after we proved ourselves on the battlefield and sacrificed and had to deal with tremendous oppression. It represented the nation's constitutional promise to people whose labor helped build this country while we were denied rights of citizenship. In that sense, citizenship wasn't a historical accident. It was a constitutional recognition of a profound debt. In other words, The framers said these black people earned citizenship. You understand what I'm saying? Now, for the smart ones, you get that. For the slow people, the short bus people, let me bring this home to you. Black Americans earned citizenship. Nobody just came over here, pooped out a baby, and now you get all the rights everywhere. We had to earn it through fighting wars, building the economy, rebuilding the economy, building the land, being subservient. Somebody type earned citizenship in the chat room. Because see, nobody else who got to this country had to earn citizenship. They gave it to the Native Americans, even though the Native Americans fought it. Some of them don't want to be citizens now. The Irish, the Italians, all they had to do was show up. They earned it. The Caribbeans, the blacks, all they didn't have to earn it. They just showed up. The settlers who got here, they were just presumed citizens because they were rich white men or white women or whatever. Black Americans, constitutional in this country's history, are the only group of people who had to earn it. It was payment for a debt, as they say, a profound debt. Do you see the difference between our citizenship and everybody else? Somebody type FBA in the chat room. We were Americans before we were citizens. We were Americans before we were citizens. We had to earn our citizenship. Damn, that's powerful. This is not an entitlement. So when someone comes along and says, oh, well, y'all didn't know what y'all was doing with it, so we came over, took it. No. We earned it. We earned it. Now, from my perspective, and shout out to somebody contributed a super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm gonna read all the super chats in a minute, but I wanna kind of bring this home because I don't want y'all to be here all day. But the way I see things, treating that powerful history as though it carries no unique constitutional significance diminishes the very purpose for which the amendment was adopted. If the citizenship clause is interpreted without regard to the historical injustice it was designed to remedy, then the distinct legacy of us, FBA, those who endured slavery, becomes increasingly disconnected from the constitutional guarantee that followed. And to me, that's not progress. It's dilution. A constitutional protection born from the extraordinary sacrifice that we made, like they literally created it just for us, to give us our citizenship after we had been Americans and after we paid a debt that we never owed in the first place. But we paid it anyway. You should not discuss that as though it's, you can't discuss that as though it's not irrelevant. It's a historical foundation. You need to explain that because everything else flows up to that. We're not just like everybody. And see, when we forget why this constitutional provision exists, we risk weakening our appreciation for what it was intended to accomplish. Now, let me ask another question. Forget the names. Forget the race, forget the political labels, forget the personalities. If I handed you these two constitutional philosophies, one from Ketanji Brown and one from Clarence Thomas, if I handed those two constitutional philosophies to you without telling you who wrote them, which one would you conclude places better, or should I say greater emphasis on protecting the constitutional inheritance of Black Americans? The one philosophy begins with Dred Scott and talks about slavery and Reconstruction and constitutional debt and this nation owed to the formerly enslaved Black Americans, or the other that begins with the proposition that the 14th Amendment ultimately began as a universal constitutional principle that just transcended color and whatever, and forget the history, forget that particular history, that birth of injustice. No, not that. Huh? Which one? Hell, let me make it simple. Which one is more pro-Black to you? Huh? Ketanji Brown or Clarence Thomas? Now, I know me and the rest of the lawyers can disagree about which interpretation is legally correct. We can do that. Me and the lawyers can talk about that. But you regular folk, you non-lawyers, somebody type non-lawyers in the chat room. And I don't care if you went to law school for 3 years. You didn't pass the bar, you're a non-lawyer. I know. Okay? And especially you jailhouse lawyer, you're still a non-lawyer. You non-lawyers can, give me what you think. Who's pro-black in that writing? Okay? And for all you conservatives who love Thomas, he ain't Clarence Thomas, don't be mad. I'm just pointing out the obvious, okay? Which philosophy does more to preserve the historical foundation upon which Black American citizenship was secured? And I think you all agree it's Justice Clarence Thomas. Not because he's Black, not because I agree with every opinion he's ever written, and not because of his political party, but because his constitutional analysis begins with remember them. Remember exactly why the 14th Amendment exists. Remember them. Remember my ancestors. Their history matters. The context matters. The sacrifices that foundational Black Americans made that gave birth to the 14th Amendment, a debt that was owed to Americans who weren't given their citizenship until they paid a debt. You can't build generational strength by forgetting the source of the constitutional inheritance. In other words, you can't build when you don't know where you came from. Every constitutional provision has history. The right to free assembly, we call it the right to free speech, the right to congregate and worship your religion because the king wouldn't let them do it. The right to bear arms, just in case you try to take that right. Every constitutional guarantee has purpose. And so now you have a justice who says, oh no, that purpose that the Black Americans had, well, we're just going to forget that. That was about, a caste system. Shout out to Corey Peterkin. And see, if we lose sight of why those guarantees were adopted, we risk treating them as though they simply appear out of thin air for no reason. You see? She's not even acknowledging the fact that those rights were purchased through generations of struggle by our ancestors. Every Black woman that was taken advantage of and gave birth to a baby that she didn't want and still took care of them. Every Black man who died in the fields from working all day. All the Black soldiers who, before they were even citizens, still fought as Americans and sacrificed and blood and their perseverance, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And so Justice Ketanji Brown wants us to forget that sacrifice. Oh no, this is about a caste system. Everybody is open, everybody. Look, we always say facts over feelings. Okay? We do. But you read what they wrote. Then you decide for yourself which constitutional philosophy better protects the legacy of our Black African-American ancestors, or as we say, foundational American ancestors. You understand that some they paid for with generations of bondage before the 14th Amendment, and finally recognized what Dred Scott had denied, our citizenship, that Black Americans are and always were part of the American people. And that's powerful, man. That's powerful, man. I dig that, man. But look, like I said, I ain't gonna hold y'all up. I got a little bit more to say, but I want to take the time to read these super chats. I got to take my son to his football practice, so I want to make sure I don't want to be late. You know what I'm saying? But we got 19 super chats, man. Shout out to everybody who hung in. I know this is graduate level stuff, man. If you here hanging out with me, man, you on a different level. But I hope I broke that down so you guys could. Did I break it down enough? It's only so much I can do, but did I break it down enough so y'all could really understand what was being said? Did you guys, if you really understood, say I learned something in the chat room. If you really understood what was being said today, don't just hold back. If I can be better, I'll read the comments. Okay. So did you really understand? Huh? Did you understand? If you understand, okay, good. I like that. I like that. All right. But let me see here. And like I said, if you learn something, I should earn something. but you don't owe me anything. But I must require that you subscribe to the channel. We gotta get these numbers up now. Fire for Effect, thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. Black Rose, thank you for the $1.99. My girl, Yaya Kids, what's up, baby? Teach the 9%. Yeah, the 9%. Isn't that crazy? Thank you so much. Always good to see my girl Yaya go. Oh, speaking of which, I need to put, hold on a minute. If you've been injured in a car wreck, because clearly I need to get an income coming in from somewhere. So if you've been injured in a car wreck or something like that, you can call me up at 1-866-LAW-BIG. I got that number just for you all. That's 1-866-LAW-BIG. Wherever you are, hit me up. Somebody type LAW-BIG in the chat room. Somebody type toll free 866-LAW-BIG in the chat room. Isn't that fancy? I had to pay for that. But thank you so much. On your day off from office, YouTube, and my man, hey man, I don't ever have a day off. I'm sitting here checking cell phones. I got this thing over here. I'm doing all kind of stuff. That's why every now and then I have to check it. But I got a great staff. All my staff members are HBCU graduates or currently students at HBCUs, man. So I've hired people from all ethnic groups. It just so happens that right now my whole staff is Black, but like I said, I hire the best. Okay. My first office manager was a little white girl named Tia Perkins from California. And she was, what do they call her? She was one of those ones with the black fingernails and whatnot. She was the smartest thing. She helped put a lot of the infrastructure that I have in place. And she used to run a trucking company for her parents. Yeah, Tia Perkins. She ended up getting married to a little white dude from what's it called? Subway. And they moved out to Oregon or something like that, man. Just a beautiful person. So, I've hired Latinos. You guys would be shocked. I hire the best. Okay. It just so happens that the group that I have now are the best. These are truly amazing people. Shout out to Texas Southern University, HBCU, man. It's great to have that resource here right in Houston because I have an ample source of great workers. And I love it. And here's the thing. I wish that, let me say it like this. HBCUs like TSU, when they're in the city like that, you got all kind of Black people from everywhere. And it's great to have them there. It's great to have them there. It's just a beautiful thing. And one of my favorite people is a Nigerian brother from Nigeria. He was married to a Black woman. He had 13 kids with this woman from Chicago. He got her pregnant 13 times. You hear me? Black man from Nigeria. He's a PhD. I think he runs the biology department over at TSU. He got this Black woman pregnant 13 times, had 13 kids. I bet she wasn't ready for that. You hear that? Can you imagine? You meet a little African brother from the motherland, he knock you up 13 times. God, can you imagine that, girl? You wide open, huh? You done pushed out 13. I'm talking about 13, like how old a kid? I think the oldest one is like 40 or something like that. You've been think about that. Damn. But I love him to death. That's why I get my Nigerian accent. Shut the fuck up. That's what I'm saying in class. I'm sitting in class. Shut the fuck up. Like that, I'm in the graduate school. Yeah, 13 kids. Y'all better leave them African men alone. They're going to knock you up. They're going to wear your walls out, girl. You just going to stay pregnant. He wasn't going home. 13 kids. Woo-wee. That is amazing. That is amazing. But shout out to him, man. Shout out to all the Nigerian doctors. I don't want y'all to go nowhere. I want y'all to stay here. We can put everybody else out, but we're going to keep these Nigerian doctors. But anyway, let's get back to, let me see. I lost my train of thought. Shout out to Hannibal. How are you doing, Dennis? It's been a while. Hey, what's up, Hannibal? Good seeing you up in here, man. Yeah, I know you overseas, so man, I work the late night shift, man. But good to see you, Hannibal. Hannibal's way back in the day, man. Good seeing the brother. African Goddess C6D. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yeah, man. So shout out to him. Let's see who else we got. Big Easy, little something for the collection plate. Hey, man, thank you so much. You guys don't owe me anything. I do this out of love. I appreciate it. God has blessed me. But again, I want you guys to subscribe to the channel. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. So thank you so much for that, though. But yeah, but if you do contribute, hey, I ain't gonna turn down no money. I ain't turning down no money, but thank you guys so much, man. And it definitely shows me how much you guys appreciate the personality. She said, "You are hilarious." Hey, y'all got jokes. You know, you got to be jokes. You got to have jokes. You know, you got to, sometimes you when you're light skinned, people want to fight you. So you got to make them laugh. Hey, man, come on, don't hit me in the face. I'll be as ugly as you. See, I say stuff like that. I shouldn't say stuff like that. But anyway, shout out to you. Tadisha Brown 3631. Good looking out. My man Fuquan, good seeing you again for the $5. And again, let me see here. Tadisha Brown. Thank you, Uncle D, for the lesson. You very welcome. So polite. Fuquan, he be $5. Let me look at Fuquan. Five. You cheap on the weed. Why don't you just buy your whole 100 sack? Why you just come through with the 5? And the weed man tired of seeing you, Fuquan. You just keep coming through with the 5 and the 5 and the 5. Just get your 100 sack, man. Get your quarter ounce. Go sit over there in the Cutlass, get blown, smoke you some brown, smoke you some weed and drink you some brown. You look at you. I appreciate the 5, man, but I keep having to get up and answer the door for you, man. Shit, just get your 100, man. Did your check come in? Hell, give me some of them food stamps, man, from your grandma's house, man. Bring me a ham sandwich and food stamp, and I'll hook you up, you pay me back on the first. Shit. Let me stop. One thing y'all might know, when I get to talking too long, I get to acting crazy because I'm tired, getting old, okay? Getting old. But anyway, shout out to my man, Mr. J. Thanks for the breakdown. No problem. I appreciate you. Teflon Juan. During the era in American history, they did not have mass immigration and birth tourism. So the 14th Amendment by nature couldn't have been about allowing the world to take advantage of citizenship. Yeah. So where did Justice Brown get all this gobbledygook from, man? That's just delusional, if you will. Shout out to Storyteller, outstanding as usual. Good looking out family. Corey Peterkin, thank you so much. Respect you. My girl, intricately tangled. What's up, baby? How you doing? Always good to see her. Look at the little pretty face. Learning always. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate you. And also Juan Washington 59. Them names don't match. Juan, your name is Juan. Your name is Juan Washington. Your name is Juan Rodriguez. I knew a black dude named Juan once. His name was Juan Jackson. But anyway, shout out to you, Juan. Thank you so much. Is it Juanina? Juana? Juan? I'm gonna call you Juan. Anyway, thank you so much. And DRE Dream, man, great analysis. Keep up the good work. I will. Flowers galore. Learn something. Thank you, Uncle D. Let's see. April Jules 3998. Thank you. We were Americans before we were citizens. Isn't that powerful to know that, baby? Isn't that powerful? Because people y'all were slaves. Yeah, we were still Americans, though. So they always try to hit us with that, but y'all weren't even, no, we were Americans before we were citizens. I want you to think about that. Golly. And all the 14th Amendment was give us what we were owed after a debt that we paid, that we didn't owe. That's what makes us so noble. And you wonder why we we just gonna sit down, okay? Let me see who else we got. Fuquan, thank you so much again, my man. I appreciate them $5, man. Thank you so much. Now, let me say something else. I got a little business I want to share with you guys. So, if you have some kind of business or something like that, and you want me to run a commercial for you, like let's say you have a trucking business or a cell phone business, or let's say you have what's it called, like I don't know, whatever it is you might be doing. What you should do is put together a little commercial, like a little 15-second, 30-second commercial, and send it to me, and then we'll figure out a price reasonable for you to handle. And I'll run it on my broadcast, because sometimes I need to go get some water. Okay, see, I'm out of water. I'm just sitting there dry, trying to talk to y'all dry. My face dry, my lips dry, cracking in the middle. I don't have no lips, chapstick, or nothing. Okay, so I can run the commercials, go get me a little water, and come on back. So if you have a commercial that you would like to run, you can email me at sperlingdennis@gmail.com, and we'll put together a commercial, and you can drop it to me in some kind of way. We'll figure out a little price, and then I can run your commercial through the broadcast. You see what I'm saying? So that's my email address running at the bottom. And so let's figure out, if you have a little small business, little trucking business, whatever you might have, hit me up. Whatever kind of little businesses you have. Yeah, your little LLC or whatnot. Just let me know so I can help. I got a lot of people on the channel that watch my broadcast all the time. I got black people, white people. I got all the people watching me. And the crazy thing about and I'm not gonna be here all day, okay? But the crazy thing about my channel, 30% of the people actually watch me on television. Like they not just cell phone action. They literally sit up, turn me on, and watch it on television, which means they not switching, they're not switching when the commercials come on. So they're literally watching the commercials. On top of that, my demographic is 35 and up. In other words, 95% of my demographic is people 35 to 45, 45 to 55, 55 on up to past 65. So these are the people with the money. Somebody type rich. I got all the rich people watching me. And so, if you got a business, construction business, internet business, send me a little drop, whatever you might have. And we'll work out a price, and I'll get you on the air. Okay. And then, you might get it's thousands of people see my stuff all the time. So it'd be cool. But anyway, let's go ahead and I want to thank everybody for the time you spent. And I want to let me make something perfectly clear. I'm not pro-black. I told y'all earlier, I'm not a conservative, and I'm not pro-black. Okay. Juanita said I would pay for help to set up. Call me up. If you want to set your LLC up, I can do that for you, baby. Email me at Sperling. Matter of fact, you can just call my office. You a real client. Somebody type real client in the chat room. I'll help you do that. Email me. I'm a charge now. But you can call me at 866-LAW-BIG. I will definitely help you set up your LLC. But let me get back to this work. Okay. Like I said, I'm not pro-black. I'm not because to me, being pro-black means defending everything black people do, even the classless behavior, simply because they're black. It means supporting every black politician, every black judge, every black public figure, even when they're trash. Okay? Okay? And you do it out of straight up racial loyalty. I'm not doing that. That's not my standard. My standard is very simple. Okay. And I don't care who I'm standing in front of. It is pro-accuracy, pro-honest, so I can maintain my integrity. You see? Because your integrity is going to stay with you longer than a position that you might hold for any particular time. But integrity means more to me than just than this tribalism. Okay. It means more to me than this tribalism ever will. One of the biggest problems in America today is that we've turned race into a team sport. We judge everything through a racial scoreboard. And when somebody from our side does something wrong, we look for excuses. When somebody from the other side gets hurt, too many people act like their team just scored a point. Whether we're talking about O.J. Simpson or George Zimmerman or Derek Chauvin, okay, and all these other high-profile cases, too many Americans stop asking what actually happened and instead ask which side won. And that's not justice. That's tribalism. And that's America's real national pastime. People say baseball is America's pastime. I don't believe that. I think race is America's pastime. I think we enjoy it secretly. I think all of y'all enjoy it, black, white, whatever. But we but we've been keeping score by race since country's founding. Every controversial case becomes another opportunity for people to cheer for their team instead of searching for the truth. And that's that's one game I've decided I'm not going to play. Okay. And that's why I don't judge Justice Clarence Thomas or Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson based on whether I personally like them. I don't judge them based on what political party they're associated with, Democrat, Republican. Okay. I don't judge them based on who they married, because both of them are married to white folk. Okay. Who you sleep with is whatever. Okay. Both happen to be black. Both happen is, again, they have white spouses long time. So if one of them is a sellout because they married out, then intellectually honest people require that the same standard applied to the other. Obviously, that's not how most people think, right? Right? Can we tell the truth? The truth is we're gonna treat Serena Williams differently than we treat a Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan. That's the truth, right? Right? People usually decide first who they like, and then invent a standard to justify it afterward. I'm not gonna play that game with y'all. Instead, I'm gonna read what's wrote. And when I read Justice Thomas's dissent, which is 77 pages long, I see someone who continually brings the conversation back to the history of Black Americans and our sacrifice. He started with Dred Scott. He started with Reconstruction. He began with the reason the 14th Amendment exists in the first place. He reminds us that our ancestors were denied citizenship even though we are Americans, and that the citizenship clause is adopted to overturn one of the most shameful decisions in the Supreme Court history. Justice Jackson starts from a very, very, very different place. Her opinion emphasizes a broader constitutional principle that extends beyond the specific historical injustice that gave birth to the 14th Amendment in the first place. That's crazy. How are you going to ignore the history? What you think we was doing back there? You thought we was on slides and eating lollipops? Again, that's a legitimate constitutional philosophy, and as reasonable lawyers, we can agree to disagree, which is better, which is more accurate. But as far as you non-lawyers, you regular people, and if I take my lawyer hat off and I just ask myself, which constitutional philosophy places greater emphasis on preserving the unique historical heritage of foundational Black Americans in our fight for citizenship, my answer is is Clarence Thomas. And that's not because he's Black. It's not because he's conservative. It's not because I agree with every opinion he's ever written. It's because on the issue, I believe his constitutional philosophy gives greater weight to our sacrifice as Black Americans and our constitutional inheritance as descendants of American slavery. Now, here's the thing, man. People have spent years calling Clarence Thomas a sellout, Uncle Tom, y'all name the names, every other name imaginable. You know what I'm talking about. But it's time we stop calling people names and start reading what they actually write. Maybe we've been measuring pro-Black all wrong. I'm going to say that again. Maybe we've been measuring who is for us and who is against us all wrong. Maybe the better question is better question isn't who sounds the most pro-Black, okay? Or who we like the most. Maybe the better question is whose ideas actually do more to preserve the constitutional legacy that our American ancestors fought and died and bled to secure. You don't have to agree with Clarence Thomas. You don't even have to like the man. You don't have to like his life choices, any of that. But if you're going to criticize him, criticize his ideas, not the character, not the caricature that's been created around him, because that's not accurate. And I also think something else has to be acknowledged. For many Black feminist opinions about Clarence Thomas were formed more than 30 years ago during his Anita Hill confirmation hearings. Y'all remember that? Somebody type pubic hair in the Coke. That's what this was about, okay? And many people never changed that from 30 years ago. And those hearings became the lens through which they have viewed Clarence Thomas for the past 3 decades. And once those hearings were over, Clarence Thomas was permanently placed into the category of the other. And then people discovered that he was married to a white woman. And for many critics, that became one more reason to dismiss him without seriously engaging his judicial philosophy. And what's interesting to me is that if you rarely hear you don't hear the same emphasis on the fact that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is also married has a white husband. And that tells me the issue was never really interracial marriage, was it? If that were the standard, right, they would have applied it equally. Instead, it seems to me that many people are already decided who Clarence Thomas was, and everything else simply became confirmation of a conclusion that they already reached. And over the last several years, we've also watched the public conversation surrounding allegations of sexual misconduct. Somebody type "Me Too" in the chat room. And that makes the whole conversation more complicated, because that exposed some real abuse by powerful people. But it also led to some highly publicized cases which accusations were fiercely contested, including the litigation between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Y'all remember that? Pooping in the bed. Y'all remember the pooping in the bed girl? Huh? Y'all remember that? And see, those cases reminded many Americans of something our legal system has always recognized. Allegations or what they said you did is not proof. Every accusation deserves to be taken seriously, but every accused person is entitled to have the evidence examined before conclusions are reached. And I'm not trying to relitigate Anita Hill, not at all. I wasn't his lawyer. Hell, I was a kid, okay? I'm making a different point. History has shown us that we should be careful about treating allegations as settled fact before all the evidence has been weighed. Whether you believe Anita Hill or Clarence Thomas or remain somewhere in between isn't really the point I'm making today. The point is that many people stopped reading Clarence Thomas after 1991, and they stopped evaluating his constitutional philosophy on its merits. They stopped asking whether his legal reasoning was sound. Instead, every opinion he wrote was filtered through the conclusion that they already reached more than 30 years ago. I think that's a mistake. And if we're serious about being intellectually honest, then we have to be willing to set aside the personalities, the politics, the narratives, the long enough to evaluate the ideas themselves. And that's exactly what I tried to do today. I didn't start by asking whether I like Clarence Thomas. I don't particularly like Clarence Thomas. Never met him, but I just don't particularly like him. But I did read his dissent, and I also read Justice Jackson's opinion. And then I asked myself a simple question. If I covered up the names of these opinions and simply read the constitutional arguments, which philosophy places greater emphasis on preserving who we are historically as foundational Black Americans and giving us our props? And for me, that answer was Clarence Thomas. That doesn't mean everyone has to agree with him. It doesn't mean every opinion he has ever written is correct. It doesn't mean Justice Jackson is acting in bad faith. It simply means that on this issue, I believe Justice Thomas gives greater constitutional significance to the history, to our sacrifices, to our legal struggles that produced the 14th Amendment, more so than Justice Jackson does. And because after reading his opinions for myself, I reached a conclusion that I know a lot of people who won't like. I think Clarence Thomas has been one of the most misunderstood Black men in modern American public life. And whether history ultimately proves him right or wrong on this constitutional question, it remains to be seen. But one thing is for certain: if you're going to condemn him, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the truth to read his words before you repeat someone else's opinion about him. This is Uncle D, and as I always say at this time, I'm out.
Dennis Berlin Podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.